Okay. Well, thank you for being so patient and waiting for us to get our act together here at riverwestradio.com. I am Caitlin Redding, sitting in this holiday weekend. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday. We are going to take the time today to share with you 2 interviews that were done after Diane Lozzi's appearance here at Milwaukee. Own O'Keefe's Port of Hamburg, which is on South Howell Avenue. You'll hear me say that again. And Zach C. of New Society for Anarchy has hosted this event now. This will be the 5th year that they've done this successfully. It's a food drive. It's called Hardcore for Hunger. And it's a pretty fantastic event. It's a great deal. They charge you some cover, but if you bring a food donation, of course, it's reduced. There are anywhere from 5 to 7 to 10 bands playing. This is all hardcore and punk style. Pretty interesting stuff. So I am going to bring you interviews that we did with Dan Lozzi after his show. He spoke for about 12 minutes during, about halfway through that program. And afterwards he came out and did an interview with me. So I would like to play that interview post Hardcore for Hunger 5.
Yeah. You want me to sweep the whole shot?
You can sweep as much as you feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just give us a minute while that is warming up. Dan's car for a casual conversation after Dan's appearance at Hardcore for Hunger 5. Dan, we just got finished listening to your live performance. That was at the Port of Hamburg's facility, actually in the back. I'd never been there myself. And what an interesting crowd. I love the bands, all the different people that showed up. You brought some people with you from Springfield and Decanter. You have your friends from Massachusetts with you.
Mary Beth, she lives in Chicago now, so she came out too. She's really familiar with my material from back home. So
you have a lot of friends here, and you're building a base in Milwaukee?
Yes, I know Zach and all those guys from New Society of Anarchists. If you see a lot of my videos where it's a big crowd and they're very quiet, it's because I've spoken there many, many times. The Springfield, Illinois show, which I referred to, that I got an extra show last night. I mean, I just walk in there. It was unexpected. They asked me to get up there, and half that crowd, a lot of them knew who I was.
Wow.
Because I've spoken there for so many times. I've spoken in Miami a bunch of times now. Those are 2 examples. Right now in Milwaukee, I'm trying to plant the seed. And you notice a difference. There's alcohol being served there. It's a little tougher. Once I get, in a little deeper and I can get on some all ages shows, definitely spreading the word and getting something going up here with your help too, hopefully. So
sure, Michael and I will do everything we can for you.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I thought you got a really good reaction from the crowd.
Yes.
There were some little kids.
Yeah.
I noticed that the parents were interacting with them, so I think the kids might have been tuning in a little bit more to what was going on.
Yes.
And you're kind of networking with local people here. So the band that you were with, the Anarchists, is actually a local band?
Yes, New Society of Anarchists. They're a pretty big punk band here in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Zach, the singer, put this show together tonight, and he asked me to come out here. He tried getting me out here last year. I couldn't do it. And Zach from New Society of Anarchists put this show together. He tried getting me out here last year for his event, Hardcore for Hunger, and I finally made it happen this year, although it is my 2nd time in Milwaukee. But anyway, if people want to get in touch with some of the local stuff around here, the activism, I think Zach's a good person to talk to, even if you're not into punk music.
No,
you know?
this is the first time I'm hearing of this
Right.
food drive.
Right.
And actually, I think people, who are in the know, who are into music, understand that the punk rock scene has
Right.
always been at the forefront of political
Yes.
activism. That might come as a shock to some people, but it's really quite true. And this is a wonderful example because they're inviting you. They're
Right.
seeking you out
Yes.
to come and do motivational speaking
Right.
to their
Well,
crowd.
And Zach saw me speak in Springfield, Illinois. Again, we're hearing that town a lot lately. This, that name has come up a lot in
Yes.
our conversations today, just because that city has been really, really good to me. I've built up
Home
a
of
good
Lincoln.
crowd. Right. I've seen the house. And ironically, Springfield, Missouri is another hot spot for me. I do very, very well in Springfield, Missouri.
Did you know that the most common city name in the United States is Springfield, and that most states have 2 or 3?
Everyone thinks that the Simpsons are from their state.
Right.
Everyone thinks that, and we have Springfield, Massachusetts, and it's a
Isn't that
very
funny?
common name. I've seen a lot of Springfields, Cantons, Pembrokes, all of which Massachusetts have.
Sure.
But anyway,
great.
yeah, but
Just a little levity.
Right, but anyway, I met Zach, and right away he said, "Listen, I do this thing every Thanksgiving around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Would you come out?" Couldn't work it out last year because, of course, I live in Massachusetts. I can't just come to something
No,
like
it's
this.
a few hours.
Right, it is. It's a good drive. And but what happened was, but the funny thing is, I did come to Milwaukee though when I was on tour. Through Zach's connections, his wife had me speak at the Brood Cafe.
Okay,
that went
and
well.
that's actually a coffee
Right.
place, not
and
alcohol.
And there was Chet who put me in touch with you guys.
Right,
Okay.
with Michael.
So now you can. But do you see, Caitlin, what I mean? That night at the Brood Cafe, it wasn't a big show,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone kept apologizing to me, saying, "I wish there were more people. I go, guys, listen. All I need is you crack the window open for me a little bit. Now, from that one show, I've been on your radio show.
Yes, you have.
You're talking to me about doing other gigs out here. Look at the crowd there. You know what I mean? There's a
Good
good
crowd.
crowd in there tonight. All I need is that window to crack open, and then I can make it happen after that. So anyway, as far as people wanting to get involved, like you said, the punk rock scene is a good starting point,
It really is.
even if you're not into the music.
Absolutely.
Right, because it's so
People talk outside the
politically
door.
active. And if you hear what I said in there, I said, look, I have so much respect for the punk scene because the rock and roll bands of the 60s, if you notice I said this in here, they were political because they had to be political.
Right.
They had to be. Something had to be done. Punk is political because they want to be political. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that they're actually looking to help empower people.
Yes.
And I can see that. The punk rock
Well,
group.
what I'm saying is the Vietnam War is over.
Right.
But these guys, now obviously there's still wars and big things going on in
but
America.
not to the
but-
level of
Right, not like what
protest,
happened in the
activism.
60s. But my point is, it doesn't matter. I mean, everything could be fine and dandy right now, and the punk scene's still going to say something. They're still
Absolutely.
going to be pushing the agenda. So, but anyway.
That's fascinating, really.
Right. Well, now the thing with me is, I don't know personally a lot of I know New Society of Anarchists has websites and stuff. I don't know them off the top of my head. However, I can put you in touch with Zach. Anybody can go to my website.
Yeah,
and
Zach
contact
sounds like
me.
a good person for
Yes.
me to have on to tell
Yes,
people in Milwaukee
and I
what
think
to
you
do,
should
where
have
to
him on.
go.
I really think you should have him on. Also, now they're not in Milwaukee, but they're a heck of a lot closer than I am. No More Victims, right? Who was
Yes,
here tonight?
it's Springfield
I
and
mean,
also Decanter.
Right,
Yep.
and the thing with Kelly is, I mean, she's one of these people. I mean, if even if you're in Milwaukee, if you're having a problem, you call her. She can right away. I mean, she's given me like tons of pamphlets of different cities where I'm going with
Right.
like, help for people if they're suicidal, they have problems, or they're being abused. So their link is on my website.
Right, and she's
you know?
going to talk to us. She's going to speak to us in
Yes.
a couple weeks in a live interview.
Right.
But the thing about Kelly that's amazing is that no matter where you live,
Right.
she gives you her home number. She
Yes.
says, call me.
Yes.
I will find you help. If
Right,
you need
right,
help, I
right.
will find it for you and I will get it to you.
Right,
And that's amazing.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something that's more amazing. And this isn't a secret. I know it's okay for me to say this because Kelly's very open about it. She says she talks about it on stage. Kelly was not in good spirits when I first met her, and she has told that story on stage. She's written about it. You can ask her about it if anyone in the audience, you can ask her. She's very open about it. She told me, she's given me permission to say whatever I have to say about our relationship. When I first met her, she talked about how her husband was seeing me speak. He ran and grabbed her, said, "Get down here, come see this." And she wasn't doing well when I met her, and she's come a long way. I mean, if you guys saw her a year ago, to see what she's doing now is just amazing. She turned her life around, so she is a great person to talk to if you're having problems. And her husband is too, and they got Logic, the spoken word poet.
Yes.
He's really good.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude. He opened up for me every night of my tour.
Wow.
He's just, I always said to people, I'd get on stage and I'd be like, all right, he's the one with talent. Now you're going to just listen to me ramble for a few minutes, because he rhymes and he's got poems, and I'm just
and he's
yelling about whatever.
Really right to the core.
Right. But he's just really talented. I don't have the talent, and I'm more like yelling about stuff, but I don't know, I guess there's
Sounds like Michael.
Yeah, I guess there's some poetry to that too, but who knows.
We're on.
We talked about No More Victims.
Right.
Right, we're on now?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about Kelly.
Yes.
And about how she'll help you anywhere.
Yes, and she'll help anywhere. And like I said, she is the person to talk to. Because
Right. It's amazing what she does.
Yeah, so do so much. But her husband's been through it too. Logic's been through it. They've all been through it. I have too. And I'll tell you this, and I can't say it enough. I don't say, when I talk about the problems I've had in the past, I don't say it to be theatrical. I'm not a cop. I'm not a school teacher. I'm not your parent. I'm not trying to be like, hey guys, get high on life. Stay out of trouble. Listen to me. I'm your buddy.
Trying to be spanked.
Right. I'm not your friend. I'm some dude who got lucky that people listen to me. When I tell you something happened to me and I tell you I understand, I mean that. I understand. I've been through stuff. I've been through depression. So people can email me. Kelly's great. She does a lot. She is the girl to go to. But if you can't get in touch with her, you don't want to talk to her. People email me too from all over the country. You can email me if you got problems. I write back to everybody. There may come a day when I'm too overwhelmed with all this, where I'm getting, because every day this has gotten bigger and bigger.
But you have other people with you as well. Right. Eventually more people will be helping.
Right.
And you brought people with you. Now, they came from Illinois to come up to Milwaukee this Saturday night. But you also have people you brought with you from Massachusetts.
Yes, and one of them sitting with us right now. I got
Gotta
Andy.
Give a shout out
to Rick. We'll get to Rick in a second. We can talk to him too if we want. Well, I got Andy Pelletier, who, it's funny, Andy's specialty is the short distance tours, the little short distance mini tours. A lot of times when I go to New York and New Jersey and I need a co-pilot, it's weird. He tends to come with me to a lot of those. Almost every time I do Northeast stuff, he's always with me. And Andy's got a daughter too, so that's probably sometimes it's a little rougher for him to get out farther away. But he is with us tonight. Andy's been a huge help to me, Andy Pelletier. But my main co-pilot I got sitting here with us now, Rick Brophy. I'll just give you a little history on Rick.
Rick, say hi.
Say hi, Rick.
Hello, how is everybody?
Otherwise people won't believe that you're here.
Yeah, he's here.
Well, I'm in the flesh.
I'll tell you what, if anyone checks out my website, he is the guy you see that usually gets up for a couple minutes and says a few words before I get up.
Right.
He introduces me a lot.
Right.
And the reason we do that, I'm not trying to make a big scene, like a big introduction entrance. It's not that at all. If he doesn't, if I just get up, I've tried it before, if I just start talking, it's too awkward.
Right.
And we gave up on that, and I said, Rick, from now on, you got to introduce me. If he's not with me, if I can't bring him with me, I got to find someone at the show.
Sure.
Put it this way, if Rick wasn't with me and Andy wasn't with me, I'd have to ask Zach to do it. Okay,
or I could have stepped up too. Someone who knows what you do.
But Rick's significance, two things Rick did, two major things. He was the first person ever to book me on a show.
Wow.
He started
Way
it.
to go.
Yeah. It was his idea. 2007, Rick, the summer 2007.
2006.
No, it was 7, Rick. I promise you. It was 2007.
Wow.
It was the end of the summer. It was his idea. But the funny thing is, there was a little telepathy going on with us, because I know I might have maybe ran the idea by him of me possibly speaking at these types of shows, as opposed to speaking at schools and stuff like that, or coffee houses. I may have ran the idea. If I did, which I can't even confirm that, it was said quickly and it was not talked about again for months and months. One day he came to me and just out of nowhere was like, I was thinking, I got this show going on, you should come talk at it. And at that point, I was really heavily entertaining that idea. So it was really weird how it came together.
Wow.
Now, I had already started the Outlook. You ready for this?
Okay.
I started it in 2004. So I had for 3 years, all it was a website that people around the South Shore knew about, South Shore, Massachusetts. When he got me on that show, overnight, suddenly now, because there was close to 100 people at that show.
Wow.
Overnight, Caitlin, I suddenly now had an audience of about 100 people.
Wow.
The second thing he did, which changed the whole course of this, he got me on my first tour. It was his idea to get me out on a tour.
Wow.
So my first time in the Midwest was from him.
So Rick's the guy to go to, or he's the go-to guy. He's the brains.
Right.
He's
he
your
has been.
GPS.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You got that.
Right. And
So what do you think of all this, Rick?
go ahead, Rick.
Well, to be honest, my entire life has revolved around hardcore,
This type of music.
Punk rock.
Yeah.
punk rock, and metal, and grind, and cross, whatever it may be. I even like hip hop.
Sure.
I like different styles. I can listen to Hall & Oates. I can listen to Deicide. I can listen to Colin of Arabia. I can listen to Bulldoze.
So you're a very open-minded kind of guy.
I listen to.
So you were ready for a Dan Lazzi then. Sure. Way to go, Rick.
Well, I thought of it and I said, usually it's just band after band after band, and we need to mix this up. We need to be a little bit more diverse.
Sure.
And
of course, you'd instantly think of a motivational speaker, right?
But he also saw a built-in audience because I used to play in a band and I wasn't coming out much. And go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Here's this dude who was in 7 Day Curse.
My old
These
band.
guys are gonna really dig
Oh.
this. And 7 Day Curse, along with bands like The Automata and League of Pain and Black Belt, they were all very big foundations in our area, earlier on. And when all the different bands disformed and broke up, and we ended up with kind of a bastardized scene,
Okay.
But the South Shore was really booming at the time. And I said, it's time for a change. It's not time for something new. We need something newer. We need to, do something good. But rather than have everybody volunteer at, a homeless shelter. Everybody volunteer.
The cliche stuff,
You know,
which is
same
okay.
thing I said.
We're not
It's
knocking
good for-
it,
yeah, it's
but we
good for
wanted
some
something
people.
different from the
We
cliche.
gotta do good, but we also need to get rid of the bad or make people think.
Right, you need to approach things in a new way or you're
Yes.
really not helping. I get it.
So
I get that.
Here comes Dan, and I said, Dan, I've known you for a while now. You've been hanging out at these, events and parties and observing things and such. I said, I think it's time for you to get up there. And he said, you know what, Rick? He says, I really do too.
Wow.
And ever since then, we've been through so many tribunals and tribulations. He's been applauded to the heavens, on
And now
one
just
end,
another one tonight.
and then yes, and then other times he's been dragged to hell.
Right.
He has, but very few times he been really dragged down, because it's been there's always that one person who's very, very stubborn and hard to, it's hard for them to have a conversation with somebody and see both sides of the story.
Okay.
So they kind of just go after him you're wrong, you're a terrible person, this and that. But
then there's a dialogue.
The majority of the show, even
Okay.
the person who has had the worst cross to bear in life comes along and goes, you need to calm down because what he's saying is right. And, he'll go up there and rip apart alcohol, and it's usually the biggest drunk defending him, thinking, what am I doing to myself?
And what Rick's talking about too is, right now things are going very, very well. They have been this whole year, but in the beginning it was a rocky start. I mean,
Yes.
he booked me in like the biggest bars we'd purposely say, this is where the bad things are going on. This is where kids are drinking and driving.
Right.
Let's go here. It took a while to establish an audience in those places.
I
Eventually,
believe
we
it.
did it. We did it. We pulled it off, but it didn't happen overnight. And the funny thing is, we used to hang out. There was a party spot. I won't name anyone back home, but we'd go to these there was this one place where there was just these crazy parties, and me and him, every time I saw him at this place, my buddy lived there, we'd go out on the back porch while all this debauchery was going on. Me and him would be out back plotting this movement which was going to speak out against all this stuff.
Wow.
So it was really an irony, because like I said, I don't drink or smoke, I don't get into any of that stuff, but I have friends. I mean, I don't judge people. I
Sure.
hang out with who I hang out with. I don't shut anyone out of my life, and I'd find myself at these places in the corner talking to myself, and Rick would be like, let's go outside. We'd sit in the back porch. I mean, a lot of this was plotted out for a few months
Wow.
before we finally made a move.
Wow.
Now, even,
Amazing story.
the diversity with it, like, you have Dan, who is vegan straight edge. You have me, who is into obviously like legalized
lifestyle.
substances.
Right. And you'll eat a
alcohol,
cookie
and
once in a
nicotine.
while.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know,
Wow.
but you know, it's just kind of like it's very hard for people to believe. They're like, well, how does this guy have all these different, you know, people who did these different characters?
Can I say something?
supporting him, you know,
Continue in a second, Rick. A lot of people are very confused and baffled back home with how me and Rick can be friends. There's a lot of people that doesn't sit well with it.
Are you serious?
They don't get,
There is a
because
lot.
me and him live very, very different lifestyles.
Oh, wow.
And he is the last guy you'd ever expect to help me with this. But continue, Rick.
I
I'm
should
sorry.
say
at
you
the
look
same
like you're in
time-
your natural habitat.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
you
but we
get-
got a system down.
Yeah.
After a while, it gets different. Like, you get tired of sitting at the cool kids table,
Uh-huh.
you know, which is very, like, even in hardcore, there's always a sect, like, especially in our state, very closed-minded group. We tell you how it's going to go, and that's the way it's going to go. You get tired of that and saying, you know what, to hell with it. And you go out and make a change. You do something different. Even
Sure.
you could do, you know, basically whatever you want. If you're the guy who, you know, wants to wrap himself in barbed wire and throw himself through a table, I mean, great. But you're also helping teach children, you know, on a private note, how, you know, the dangers of maybe cocaine and you know, binge drinking are
Right.
bad. You know,
This is an interesting crowd.
diverse.
Now, my observations were today that there are a lot of tattooed people and a
Yes.
lot of people with body piercings.
Absolutely.
So this is a group that I would think is pretty hard to impress. I mean, these people have done things that cause a lot of pain and are a
Yes,
very different,
probably.
very
Yes.
different
Right.
statement they're making,
Right.
and a very forward statement.
Right.
You really can't hide a you know, ring through your nose or something like
Right,
that.
right.
So when you're dealing with a very diverse and really dynamic group of people that aren't
Right.
going to be your normal self.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes.
this must have, I mean, I can sort of see where
Right.
some of the bricks in the way might have been, and
Right,
some of the
right.
walls you would have had to knock down.
Yes.
But
Right.
what a dynamic, what a fascinating place to start,
Right,
Dan.
right, right.
Really, and what foresight for you, Rick, to put this together. And you know, this is really what it's about.
Right, right. And that-
This is grassroots at its finest.
Right. And again, Caitlin, it's like, look at what we've done. I mean, I have, you know, me and him have been all over the place. I mean, this was a little tiny thing that started. And it's like, I mean, this has been international now. I mean,
Right, now you're going hundreds of
I'm
miles.
going back to Europe, and it's like, I already know I'm going to be speaking in Belgium and the Netherlands.
Oh my gosh.
I got a girl coming with me who's going to introduce me in their language, you know,
Wow.
like multiple languages. And I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous. Sometimes I just sit here like this and I'm like, I'll look at my globe in my bedroom and I'm like, wow, like how did that's weird, you know, like
Yeah.
I can't, you know,
How did the world become so
drove,
small?
I've drove through the desert. I mean, like drove into the desert doing this stuff. And it's just, it's weird. It's different. It's cool. And but that night, that first night he booked me, I mean, that was a slam dunk. That was the beginning of the end. That was like, I woke up the next morning. Suddenly, this thing I had done for 3 years, and tops 30 people know about it. Tops, right? Suddenly, overnight. I mean, Rick, I woke up that next day, dude.
You did.
And I had 100 new kids. Like
I believe you called me that day around maybe 2:45 in the afternoon, because we had that show on a Thursday night.
Right, it was a weeknight.
A Friday. I had that Friday off, and you had said, you were getting emails
the next day,
and you were getting MySpace.
We had a MySpace page at that point. Okay. Suddenly, like, all these kids were adding the Outlook MySpace page.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's just amazing.
I'll tell you another funny quick story. There's a band, Calling of Arabia, back home, and Mike Carson. Is Mike still in Calling of Arabia?
Yeah, I believe Michael's still playing.
Mike was the one who got me to do social networking with this, and that was another slam dunk. He's like, you need a MySpace page for the Outlook, and I'm like, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't touch it. He was another one. He was right. We started that MySpace page, and it was like, next we had a YouTube channel, then a Facebook page,
wow,
and a live
that's
journal.
Just, I keep saying, wow, I gotta find another adjective.
Right, but I mean, it was like, he grabbed me. I remember going into Mike's work, Rick, in Cumberland Farms there, or the Tri-Town Pizza. I mean, he was getting mad at me because I didn't want it. One day, he grabbed me, like, by the shirt and sat me down at his work. He's like, come see me at work. And I'm like, he jumped out from behind with his apron, his pizza apron. And he's like, listen, dude. He's like, shoves this paper in my face. He's like, these are your passwords. I built the MySpace page for you. The first logo I had, the Massachusetts logo, he got a girl in Hingham or something to do it. I've still never met her or thanked her, but that became the first logo.
Well, you thanked her by using her art.
Right, but I didn't make that up. That Massachusetts silhouette was somebody else put that together, made me have this thing. And listen, at first I'm like, whatever. Then one day I got a message from a girl who was like in Serbia, somewhere around there, Eastern Europe, and I'm like, all right, Mike was right. I go, this is not a joke. And then I started getting kids from China were putting the Outlook in their top friends.
Wow,
and this, keep in mind,
mind-blowing.
China censors political groups. Now,
but you're not, are you? They would, if you're coming in on a punk rock wave.
Well, what I did was, either way, I came in under the disguise of MySpace.
Okay.
They might, anything with dissonant ideas, they block out. But at the time, they weren't blocking out MySpace. Apparently.
Haven't figured it out
now,
yet.
here I had my MySpace political, or whatever you want to call it, right? And I couldn't believe it. A kid sent me a message written in Chinese, and I wrote back, I'm like, listen, man, thank you. I don't know if you can understand this, but I don't understand Chinese.
Oh, but your computer had a translator
I didn't know at the time. I mean, who knows? But he wrote back. No, you know what it was? No, I take that back. He was writing to me in English, but his friend, who he told his friend about me, wrote to me in Chinese. I said, listen, dude, you got to tell your friends I don't write like that. And he wrote back, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll explain. I'm like, you got to translate for me. So, but wacky stuff like that happened. I remember the first time I got a YouTube comment from a kid in New Zealand. And I was just like, wow, man, this is like pretty
very impressive.
People are up 24 hours a day all over the world. It's just astounding.
Now I think nothing of it. I mean, people instant message me all the time, from South Africa on Facebook. They're like, what's your website about? I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
There's actually two of the biggest events that I'm enrolling in after the weather in our area gets better. We're gonna have my friends from Lifeless and Sicker Than Most, and Ten of Swords. We're doing a little festival again, like I do every year.
Okay. So you have a life outside of Dan, then?
Well, yes,
I promote shows.
Booking
you're
beat down and hardcore and metal and like melodic hardcore. Like I give my friends in the Regret and Truth Be Told, I Drive Through Fire. We put on these events and stuff, and people come out and the mosh. You get the mosh pit and you got kids dancing, letting go, and then the bar's open for people who want to drink, and we have a pool room and a pizza shop. It's all the same venue that we go to in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. This little excuse me, this little island I've created for those that, you know, need help, such as like Dan, you know, needs,
Like
he
artists.
got his start,
Right.
you know.
He needs a platform.
Yes, he's
Right.
now like, he's now one of the big acts now.
Wow.
He brings in, you know,
The owner, it took
35
the
people
owner.
himself.
We love Joel, but it took him a long time to come around. He was nervous about me.
Now
at
remember,
first.
he may hear this.
He might, but it's okay. He
Then
knows.
when
He
your
knows.
when your bar is making easily over $1,000 a
He
night,
started
one
letting
of
me
these
do whatever I
events, it's,
wanted
at
okay,
that
you know, I
point.
didn't
Okay.
know this, you know,
This guy's a draw.
these
Yeah.
people would
Excellent.
bring in, you know, so it works out. One hand washes the other, you know.
Sure.
We help out people who help us out. And it's not only in just there, but our friends in Psycho and Hanson, New York, they look out for us. Knuckle Up it has looked out for Dan in New Jersey. My friends in Lifeless and Sicker Than Most, and then Unit
Awake to the
731.
Nightmare. Did I say it right, Rick? Down in
Wake into
Louisiana.
the Nightmare from
Yeah.
Louisiana. Iron Will from
One of my
Georgia.
favorite places.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these different bands.
Vimo out in Missouri.
on-
Wow,
top.
this is just an incredible
Yeah.
network.
Yeah.
It's just they're just punishing so greatly through crowds, getting all these big crowds to see them, and the kids really, really have the drive to do things. And then you have someone like Dan who comes out of nowhere, you know, out of left field in the early 2000s, who say, you know, I'm going to make a change. I want to do something different.
I want to be
And
part
this-
of the change.
Yes, I'm disgusting at what I see, and I want to take a gray or a black or a white and mix all them together, you know, and add my own touch and put my own perspective on the world.
Oh, this is
as if he's
amazing.
an
What a
artist,
story.
you know?
And Caitlin,
What a
I
story.
know we are getting off subject, and I just want to say it again because it's something you want to talk about. As far as helping and getting involved, you know, back to the main topic, you can go to my website. You can write to me. Kelly is good for like very specific.
Yes, and again, we're going to have the interview with
Right,
her in
you
a
can
couple
talk
weeks.
to
That's a
her.
very targeted
and
audience.
I think tonight you should talk to Zach too.
Yeah,
because
we'll
he
try to get
lives
Zach,
here,
too.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm an outsider, but I do what I do. But people can get involved. I think Zach is where you would really get some
Right.
information on that. You
Absolutely.
know, that's my opinion.
What a story, guys.
Yeah.
Unbelievable story. I mean, you
Yes,
listen
Liz.
to yourself talk to me and the hundreds of people who are going to hear this.
Yeah.
And just the story is it's incredible. But it's how it had to be. All the starts are like
Yeah.
this. They come from the dust and just rise up.
Okay, and one more time, I want to emphasize, and I told this story on your station,
Mm-hmm.
but now that I got Rick here, I'd like to tell it again. I told you that story, how there was that one time, it was a specific episode. I was laying on my bed staring at the ceiling, like, you know, as Rick had said, I used to play in bands, and I hung it all up, and I felt this was going nowhere.
Okay.
And I just sat there like, what am I doing? Like, did I screw up? Nobody cares about this. This is never going to go anywhere. I'm telling you, that was at the beginning of the same summer when he approached me. I mean, it was like 2 months
The
later.
timing was phenomenal.
Little did I know, 2 months later, life was going to change big time. And here I was literally, you know, I don't think I was going to give up, but I definitely didn't care. I mean, I was like,
You had lost focus.
yeah, I was like, you know, I mean, ultimately I said to myself, you know, there was a little voice that laughed at me like, dude, you know what else are you going to do? Like, okay, what are you going to quit this? In 3 weeks, you're going to read something in the paper. You're going to be angry again. You're going to be back tight.
Yep.
And stuff, right? So it wasn't like I completely give up, but I was kind of just like, you know, listen, I can't do anything more with this. If fate's going to have to intervene, because I ain't making this happen right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rick called me that summer. It was a couple months later. Finally, Rick was like,
Way to
hey,
go,
I got an
Rick.
idea. Yeah.
First show with In Our Blood, which was my old band. We were on Rock Vegas Records, which is now thankfully defunct. But it was us and Bound by Regret and Few and Proud, and Despite It All. And I put 2 bands, and then Dan, and then my band and Bound by Regret last. And he had one of the biggest crowds I had ever seen a room that size fit, which was probably, you saw the inside of this,
Yes.
the same
It was a
amount
packed
of
show.
space.
Wow.
It was packed, and people were standing and sitting on pool
Dan,
tables.
I'll
Even the owner rose up and listened, and he was very, very
That's
impressed.
wonderful.
And you saw my table, my setup
Yes,
in there.
I did.
I didn't have that at first. I had to put I had like 2 pamphlets and a sticker, and I put them on the pool table. I had nothing. I didn't really have a table. I didn't know if people would like the stuff. And I'll tell you another funny thing. my friend Bailey was in the crowd that night. She was up front watching this girl who I didn't really know. She contacted me a couple days later. She went on to become a friend of mine, and she's the one when we the most recent website we're doing, theoutlookspeaks.org. She thought of that name when we said, what should we call this new and improved website? She said, how about The Outlook Speaks? So it's just weird how things all come together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's just tremendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous.
It is.
Well, you made it here. The seeds are planted.
Yeah.
So all we can hope is that they will grow, and this is a temperate farming community.
Keep hammering away.
So chances are they'll grow.
Yes.
So we will look forward very much to having you here again.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
I will
we'll
be back.
keep watching.
Definitely be back.
We'll have you on the show again. We'll
Thank
post whatever links we can.
Yes.
And we'll just keep people empowered and help them find hope in their lives and hope in the future.
Awesome.
And we'll get it there.
That would be a very
So,
good start.
Richard, thank you so much
Thank you very much.
for everything you've done
You've
for
been-
us.
Been very cherishing.
Thanks for getting our keys out of my car. You can tell that story on the air another day.
We'll tell that
That'll make
another
it
time.
interesting.
We'll have to let
Yeah.
that age a little bit before we share
Yeah.
that. So, Dan, thanks for coming. I'm so
problem.
exciting meeting you
Thank you,
finally.
Kayla. It was nice meeting you in person. It's been quick. We talked on
Yes,
the
it
phone a
has.
couple weeks ago, and I'm already here, so thank you.
That's great.
And everyone, seriously, everyone's been really nice up here. And, thanks to everybody for checking out what I'm doing, and we will be back many more times,
And
I'm
we
sure.
will we'll talk to you more. We'll
Yeah,
talk to you
definitely.
more.
We'll all be
So
in touch. So,
that's great.
great.
All right, we're out.
Awesome.
My thanks once again to Zach C. of New Society of Anarchy, Dan Lozzi and Richard Brophy, O'Keefe's Port of Hamburg, RiverWestRadio.com, and my technical insanity support, Steve M. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. That was Dan Lozzi and Richard Brophy. Both. Dan was actually quite active in a number of punk rock bands himself prior to getting into this speaking and this activism. I wanted to follow that. I know there's a lot of breaking news this week, not today per se. A lot of things going on overseas, things with the Hamas in Israel. There are continuing European Union, crisis, more talks with some of the countries facing bankruptcy and needing bailouts. Certainly trying to minimize or make light of any of those things. It just seemed that it was an appropriate thing to play these interviews today on the holiday weekend. It's nice to know that people are able to do things on a local level. Gives us a little bit of encouragement, kind of gives us a direction on where we can mingle with the crowd that we might most enjoy the company of. And I would like to then now play this interview with Richard Brophy and Zach C. from, and let me say this name correctly, the name of the band is the New Society of Anarchists. Zach has at least 5 CDs out, and this interview actually is spliced with some pieces from his Start a Riot CD, which is a compilation of live cuts, live tunes that they performed various places, and this was released in 2011, and I believe the company is called SBS Records, and they do have a .com. So let me get this queued up and started for us. Thanks for listening. NSOA. And you also know Dan Lozzi and gave him an opportunity. November 10th, 2012, O'Keefe's Port of Hamburg, South Howell Avenue, Milwaukee. After Dan Lozzi's appearance at Hardcore for Hunger 5, I had a chance to talk to both Richard Brophy, band member and promoter, and Zach C., organizer, about their innovative ideas and approach to activism. Today, we have with us Richard Brophy, who is a musician and a self-proclaimed promoter.
Yes.
Who has, as we learned in a previous interview, was the person who actually gave Dan Lozzi his start
Yes.
And we are also privileged to have Zach, and I don't know your whole name.
Zach Z is fine.
Zach Z, and you are also in a band,
Yes, NSOA.
NSOA. And you also know Dan Lazzi and gave him an opportunity to speak, or you gave him a platform. So I think that one of the things that's interesting is how the heck did you end up with Dan Lazzi, of all people?
We played a show down in Springfield, and he was a part of that show.
Okay.
And that's when we met, exchanged contacts. Then last April, was that? Last April?
Yes.
Last April, he was coming up here, and we were already on tour.
Well,
So at the time, my wife Anna was working at Brood Cafe, and he was looking for a date. And we were able to pull that off. So
that's how he got here then, was Brood Cafe.
That was the first time I helped him with the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit before we started the interview, you were kind of talking about the fact that you have kind of a fascination with the spoken word. It's something that intrigues and interests you.
I enjoy it. Yep.
And you feel that your audience is also equally intrigued and entertained by this.
Yeah, I don't think spoken word in hardcore is anything new, though. I mean, so it's always been there. It's just no one knew it's coming. It's been like fucking Henry Rollins for the last fucking 35 fucking 40 years. Sorry.
That's okay.
35 years, 40 years, whatever, you know, so it's like, I think it's great to hear someone new, you know.
Did you say fornication?
Yes, he used the word.
Twice.
Oh, good Lord.
Just like a sailor.
It's okay.
But
It's okay.
I think it's great to hear someone new because, you know, you can only hear, you know, one guy's opinion so much.
Had you heard Logic before speak? He did a little bit. I heard some of
Yeah,
his.
he actually did a show with us in Springfield as well, which is where,
He's from Decanter, I believe. He's from No Victims.
yeah, from Springfield.
No more victims.
No More Victims.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where No More Victims is centered, is Springfield, Illinois. But on that April tour that we did, when Dan came up here, we were down in Springfield the night before he played up here, and No More Victims had opened that show as well. So.
Okay. So when you tour with your band, do you have people that you can contact locally, or you try to bring people that you've heard with you? How do you do this?
Sometimes we go out alone. We have toured with like DRI and MOD and Raw Power and stuff, but we were on Warped Tour and shit in '96. But like independently, we do it like most everything is independent. We've been like a DIY band since we started. So it's like.
And you said you've been doing this about 20 years?
I started this band, not like.
In its incarnation
Right,
currently.
I'm not like
Okay.
a guy that's been in 50 bands throughout the 20 years. This band has existed. This band has existed since. Oh, Jesus, I'm old, man. 1989 is when this band officially started as a band. And then in 1994 is when we released our first
CD?
First release, yeah.
Okay.
It was a CD. Well, at first it was a tape, and then it was a CD.
So an EP, I think, or something of
Right,
that
it
sort?
was like
Okay.
6 songs or whatever, but at that time it was like all grunge here in Milwaukee. There's never like, I don't want to say it. I love Milwaukee, so it's like,
Well, you have to say, you have to tell the truth.
I kind of have a bad reputation in Milwaukee, in my opinion, just because I do say too much, but
Well, chances are other people know the truth as well.
oh yeah, for sure they know the truth, but like, I don't know, back when we started, you know, a lot of the old school guys that like were doing underground bands, and I'm not knocking them, you know, my roots are my roots, and I love, you know, all the musicians that I've watched as a kid, and all the bands I've played with have inspired me throughout. You know, I mean, it's impossible not to be inspired by the people around me.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm not knocking anybody, but when like the grunge scene hit, all those bands kind of bailed on the new bands, so we kind of had to pick up the pieces. And like Milwaukee is so into like commercial crap that when we lost that kind of, you know, the root of the people that started it in at least in Milwaukee, not started it,
But
period.
started the scene here.
Right.
Designated vibe.
Right. They were kind of decided they
That's
were
right.
they were done. I don't know if like, well, I'm sure a lot of people went through shit. You know, I know like we've lost so many people through the last 20 years, but I felt like, you know, when we started, a lot of those bands were just done, and it was like trying to find a new heavy bands was like impossible when everybody was trying to be hippies and shit. So it was like we just had to, we had no choice but to do it ourselves, you know. Find a basement, rent a hall, do something, put up, we used to put up ads before the internet, you know. We used to have to put up like
Posters.
your ad on the billboard in whatever store, and
But you've always had
look for other bands and try to get, you know.
You've always had the
always
audience, though. The audience has never left you. It just got to be harder to contact them.
Well,
Or do you think that the audience left you?
I don't know. I think that the scene has gone through very strong times, and then like people grow up and people move on and people start to hate each other, and their friendship wasn't as strong as their pill addiction or whatever the hell makes them lose their mind and not talk to anybody anymore. You know, so when that group of kids hits 21 or 22 and they find like they get drunk and whatever, they find out life isn't living at home anymore.
Right.
You know, so like their values change and the things inside them change, or maybe they start coming to shows and they're beating up people, or they're the ones getting beat up. You know, it's like things like that ruin the heart of everything, you know.
Sure.
Like you can go like 2 years and everybody's real strong and real tight and everybody knows everyone at the shows, and then all of a sudden like 2 people start not talking, and then it's like 10 people don't talk to each other anymore, and then it's like those 10 people don't come to that side of town for the shows anymore. Now they only go to this clique, you know, so everybody goes into their own clique. And that's like where Milwaukee is right now. There's the east side clique, and there's the north side clique, and there's like, you know, the straight edge clique and the skinhead clique and whatever, and then there's like the metal clique, and then there's like us that want like what we had, where it didn't matter if you were skinhead, straight edge, metalhead, punk rock. It never mattered until like 2000 hit. Then all of a sudden it was like this fashion show or whatever. But I don't know.
But you stayed true. Through all of this, you stayed true.
I stayed true to myself. I don't know. Maybe a part of me doesn't really care to believe anymore. Maybe, you know, I mean, I'm bitter and fucking angry too, so it's like...
But then how do you get band to come?
It's very easy for me to feel like, you know, if I'm abandoned, you know, this is the thing I thought was something that, you know, anybody was supposed to be able to come to an underground show. Anybody. It didn't matter. You know, there were people here that have never gone to a show like this tonight, ever in their lives.
Yeah, this was fascinating for me.
It's like, there was a time when that was the idea. It didn't matter. You could all come and not get fucked with. But now it's like people that don't have an identity come and cling to people that do have identities is the problem. So this type of person gravitates towards the kid that dresses like a skinhead. He might not know what the fuck a skinhead is or what it means, and he probably walks the fence between, do I hate ethnic people or am I just a skinhead, working class guy? You know, so that group all of a sudden gets a little bigger because all of a sudden these kids are turned on to this new thing they never knew.
Right.
So they cling on to that, and then all of a sudden that group turns into whatever. And I'm not trying to single out the skinheads or nothing.
No.
Because the same thing happens when, you know, the grunge kid that only listened to Korn came to the punk show and saw the kid with spiky hair and was like, oh, now I'm going to be a punk. And now I know everything about punk. So, you know,
Okay.
he never had a past. He was just punk.
But you're staying
From the
true.
get-go.
You're the band is staying true. You're going around, you're
we're
touring.
not trying to, like, be anything we're not. We're just playing.
But now you're bringing this form of spoken word,
Yes.
which, and we had talked a little bit, you're not comfortable with the word activist, but you are actually empowering people to open their own minds to new ideas, and also
Yes.
a whole different avenue to connect to each other. And who knows, I mean, this sounds very far-fetched, but maybe even enact a change. So what you're doing really is kind of remarkable, especially since you're telling me you're feeling a little bit disenfranchised.
Well, for sure. And
But-
it's
but here you are
disenfranchised
yet.
by our own people is the problem.
And yet here you are offering hope to hopefully the other people will come back and
Well, because
new
I'm
people.
not the only one. All these bands that are playing tonight are all treated like shit by the people that say they're like, the people that will step up and be like, hell yeah, I run the scene. You know, I ain't comfortable with you saying anything even close, like when we started this. You know, that's not my thing. I'm not a scenester. I'm not in it for points. Our band has never been in it for like fame. The name of the band is New Society of Anarchists. That is not going to sell Old Navy clothes. You know, so it's like our whole intention is clearly not to be like this sellout band that's going to be like a 5-year whatever.
So then,
You
then
know, it's
someone.
it's a dedication. My brother's in this band. You know, the kid we got playing. Well, he ain't a kid anymore. But the man that we have playing drums, he's been with us over 15 years.
So I think I can say then that you're being true to your roots and true to what you believe in, and you're bringing someone like Dan Lazzi in. And I can't imagine how many other people that I haven't even heard of. So you are really creating an opportunity for someone like me, or someone who hasn't ever seen this before, to have all kinds of. So I mean, I love the music, the energy, just
But it's
the.
nice to have something else too.
Well, sure.
You know, and it's like
Sure, I like all kinds of things.
positive. He's not like up there, dude, dick, fuck, cunt, you know.
Right, but
So
the other thing is too is that
He's not
also,
up there being a jerk. He's
Right.
up there telling people like, you know,
Oh, it
don't
is.
be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's like so hard to tell people nowadays because no one wants to be themselves right now.
that's a very good point.
Everybody wants to blend in and be the next blended in thing, you know, whatever.
The next best blended.
just the next shadow, you know, next to the next shadow.
And Rick, you find the same. You find the same kind of resistance.
I find a lot of the same in our area. Where, like I said in the last interview that you did recently, when you interviewed Dan, Dan gave a big point with me. Everybody has their cross to bear in life, you know. And hardcore should be a place where it does, you know, everybody should be accepted. And if someone has a problem, you should find out why they have that problem, rather than
It shouldn't
automatically.
just be a bloodbath.
Yes,
Right.
The new kid
blacklist them and tell them, you know, you said this, you did that. I mean, there's a lot of people in my area that if they went through the things that there's a good portion of us that have gone through, they'd honestly probably just throw in the towel and wave the red flag and just,
can relate to
you
that.
know,
Definitely relate to that.
hit the suicide boat, you know. But the rest of us keep cruising on because the whole movement and scene that I've started to build and that has actually been building up does well. We actually have you know 5-6 bands play. We've got a lot of friends out of state, you know, going from the East Coast to the West Coast, the Midwest, the South. You know, doesn't matter where it may be. I have people from England, Germany, and Belgium, and France calling me for shows now.
Wow.
Telling me they're planning ahead. Okay, in a year from now, we're going to need, a gig. And I just honestly think that our scene would do a lot better if more people work together rather than, say, all right, well, this is who I am, and I want to be somebody. I'm going to sit the cool kids table. I need to, hang out with this guy in order to be someone. And then people get confused. Oh, well, these are my friends, and,
Let me ask you.
Anymore.
Exactly.
Ain't wearing the same hat.
Let me ask you about that, because I did not notice there was a lot of merchandising going on in this show. Now, I'm going to guess, of course, that you guys have your...
People broke a lot of stuff down.
Oh, okay, because I did not...
Our victims had tons of...
Well, but those are... They're not a band. You know what I'm saying? But the bands, I don't...
UIs had a lot of merch.
They did?
When it comes to a band, yes.
We got a 7-inch that just came out today.
Okay.
And
Zach's band has a good portion of stuff. He has something for everybody.
Okay.
He's got profanity shirts for those who are older, and he has stuff that even kids can wear. That's good about being diverse.
Shirts that say Rick won't book my band.
Can I wear one of those?
Anytime they come through Massachusetts, I'm the dude who's pulling them.
Okay.
It's the same with
And you're taking them over to Germany with you. Yeah. And I understand there's quite a culture in Germany that this is very popular music in some parts overseas. Punk rock and the whole political statement.
Exactly.
Very much so.
That's what she means. Like,
there's no unity in the States. Everyone's spoiled, and
Well, yeah, the commercialism. This is not a venue that promotes commercialism.
I think overseas, the culture remains. It's the idea of underground music being more than just underground music. It's a way of life. It's a culture of life. It's not.
You're right.
It's it's not just the music and the spoken word and the art and the tattoos and all the stuff that goes with it. It's all a bigger picture. It's a culture, and when.
So are you saying
we're in the Midwest? So they're from out east. In my opinion, that's like very much like the root.
Sure.
I mean,
13 colonies. I get it.
I'm sorry, but I just want to say this because I am just a dumb Midwestern boy, and only seen like stupid hardcore documentaries that I can't stand them, but I love to see live music and shit. And I just want to say, from a Midwesterner to the East Coast.
And this isn't going to be a secret, just so you know.
This ain't going to be secret, but MC5 and Iggy Pop
take all the jams, yeah.
They're from the Midwest, so...
yeah, exactly.
Liberace's from the Midwest too, homie.
And that's something we really
But my point is, without those bands, there'd be no Ramones.
There wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You're right.
So it's from the Midwest. You said it. Yeah.
Yes. See,
I'm just fucking.
There's places like the tri-state area.
You know what I'm saying? No,
you have Pennsylvania, in New Jersey. You've got bands like Bottom Feeder, Lifeless, Anguish, Sicker Than Most, represent. Then you got Ohio and Indiana, like Hammerfist, not Hammer, Silver Hammer.
And do you know these bands?
Hammerfist is from California.
Some of them? Okay.
Not on a personal level.
Life After Death. All these bands that are tearing it up in the Midwest, in the Northwest, the West Coast. And then you have the East Coast, and it's like, okay, we have to depend on New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania.
I was going to say, the East Coast is a little cliquey.
Yes, it is.
And it always has been a little cliquey.
Yes, and then you have Maryland, which is awesome. Which you got Stout. Stout is probably one of the best bands. And like I mentioned before, another band that always gets shit on. Strength for a Reason. one of the heaviest, most loyal, down-home hardcore bands that it's like if they play up in our area, there's like 40 kids inside watching them, and the other like 75, 80 are outside, smoking cigarettes on their phone. There's just a lot of disrespect in New England for hardcore. There really is, unless it's a DIY, like someone books their own thing with their own friends, and then bands that are really hungry that want to do it for the right reasons rather than, okay, we're a band, we always want to go in the middle, which is the worst. Any band that says, okay, cool, can we go third? It's like every band wants to go third. Okay, well, how about every band on the show set up and you put, animatronics on stage,
right,
or dummies, and just switch the t-shirts every half hour,
That's
and
terrible, Rick.
Set up every band in the middle of the floor and have them go third. It's going to sound terrible because you're going to have like 15 guitars, probably about 14 or 18 basses, depending,
But
terrible.
now, from a promoter's perspective, every band wanting to play third. I mean, yeah.
Well,
but I mean, from a band's perspective, no kidding, because it's not the way it used to be, where the kids came out to the basement and stayed
Right.
until the show was over.
You're right.
And all had a good time.
You're right.
Now it's like, these 10 kids watch this band, leave. These 10 kids come in, leave.
That's interesting.
They all like the same kind of
Yeah.
bands, but
they
they
don't
don't
stay-
like each other. They,
Wow.
It's stupidity.
It's stupidity.
That's
Honestly, like
It's
blatant
based on
disrespect.
image and
So Dan speaks against this.
based on
Dan, here's a normal show for me. The New Jacks and the Up and Comers are the first two bands, okay? Or the bands that drive from 45 minutes away, which is honestly,
right.
Right there.
down the street. And then bring their girlfriends, and their girlfriends want to get in, they give the, guy collecting money or the bouncer a hard time. And then you got like, oh, well, I'm the merch guy that comes to the bands. Okay, that's why I went first. Like boom and boom. And then you get your strongest local to headline. And then in between there are all the bands that drove the furthest or the bands that are on tour that are getting paid. So the first two bands, okay, and the last band, that makes 3 bands total.
Okay.
That's what we got. They're all locals.
Right.
Then you get 4 bands in between.
Right.
That's a 7-band show for $10.
Oh my gosh.
The bands in between,
What a deal.
yeah.
What a deal.
Exactly. And
That's
the
a
band-
whole day.
A lot of kids look at it, I could,
for $7.
Wow.
exactly. A lot
There
of,
was supposed to be 10 bands that played.
So you agree then with everything Rick is saying, Zach, that this is how you
that's
do
how
it?
it should. When you're touring, the bands that are traveling need to be able to play, because it's hard out there. When you're traveling, for 3 hours to get to a show, and then they're like, you're playing last, and like all the best bands in town are playing before you. No one's.
tough spot.
No one's watching you. They're out of there.
you get
too bad.
rich shit.
Yeah.
You
I
get
don't
sick
care
of it.
who you
get
are.
out.
They're loyal to that scene. They're not about to be like. I mean, even if that's the situation, sometimes you still don't turn heads. It's a fight constantly to try to get people to listen.
So
Very hard business.
having somebody like Dan, and I'm only using Dan's name repeatedly because I don't have another example, so just throw out another name if you want. But having someone like him then not only approaches, that having the spoken word, but eventually maybe he might also then draw people to your show to see him and then to see you.
Well, yeah, for sure, because
And you're okay with that?
well, I would hope so.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm just,
the idea is for me to bring people for him, and if he knows people that don't know me, I mean, please.
Right.
Bring them to the show and have them be a part of this, because like I said, that's the idea of the show, is to have
lots of
people come in here and be a part of something and
Right.
feel like, this is, I can belong to something and not have to be a weirdo.
Well, this
or not
is
have
so
to dress
different.
like a freak, or not have to have
I know, it's just so
someone
different.
else's views. You can have your
It
own
is.
opinion.
Because I don't look like a
This
rocker,
guy
and you
and-
guys accepted me.
Rick and Dan are polar
Well,
opposites.
you're pretty,
Well,
that's a
but that
different
doesn't
story.
count.
You know
But I'm
what
wearing
I'm
a cowboy shirt.
That's cool.
I'm wearing a fancy cowboy shirt and jeans, and nobody kicked me out. Nobody laughed at me.
No.
Nobody said,
These
"Get out of
guys
here."
are polar opposites, and they're
Literally.
they
Right.
travel
Accept
around the
everybody,
country
you know,
and hang out with each
you
other
just
daily.
do.
So this is a fascinating venue for people with different ideas
Yes.
to all coexist.
Absolutely.
The energy is frantic. It's
Absolutely.
wonderful. You guys are just kind of in a way visionaries. I'm sure you probably don't think of yourselves as being that, but you really are. You're holding true to a vision that people need. Someone's got to keep that light burning in the window, so we all figure out where to get back to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is so great. I'm so glad that we could get you to talk to us, Zach. Do you have a website or something that we can link to for you?
I think it's Facebook.
So they can
Society of Anarchists.
so they can friend
Spelled
you.
out. Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
on Facebook. And Rick, we know we can. Well, I don't know if we know where we can get a hold of you. How do we
You
get a
can
hold
get
of
a
you?
hold of me under the name.
How do we find your programs?
Under my name, if you add me on Facebook, it's Dick Richards.
Okay.
Like, that's my name. You should see some
right, now I
profane
know
picture or whatever, It's funny. Obviously, I do that. I've had booking companies, Warlord Booking, Funhouse Syndicate, Sharpshooter shows, but I like to mix it up to make, for people to keep thinking, like, all right, people who normally wouldn't come out go, okay, I'm going to give this a shot.
Yeah.
Let's see who it is.
I'm
And then
just
they're like,
curiosity
oh, wow,
now. I want to come see the shows too because I'm just
I
so
hope so.
curious now about what I'm missing. I've obviously been
It's
missing
even
quite a bit.
better. The more you come, you get familiar with the songs and the bands and the people, and then
Exactly.
the next thing you know, you're a part of it, and you didn't even have to change your.
I didn't even have to put my
You-
cowboy
you
shirt
didn't-
back in the closet.
Nope, you came as you were, and you found that it didn't matter.
Wow.
This
This has just been great. I'm so glad you
I
could
hope
give us
so.
a couple minutes. Rick, I know you're waiting here to get back on the road. So, Rick from Massachusetts, you're welcome here anytime. And Zach,
Thank you, miss.
keep it going locally.
I'm gonna try.
Get a hold of us. We'll promote you. And wow, thank you both
Anytime,
so
anytime.
You
much, so
need some
much.
music? I
Anytime.
can give you some music.
Maybe we can even dot the interview with some music if you'd like to leave me
I'll
some
give you
music.
CDs.
Be nice.
Okay.
They got some good material.
All right, excellent. Okay, guys,
Absolutely.
I got to sign off now.
All right.
But
Thank
thanks
you,
for
miss.
being here.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much.
This is Caitlin Redding. Once again, my thanks to Richard Brophy and Zach C. of New Society for Anarchy. Thank you, Zach, for your efforts. Hardcore for Hunger 5. This is the 5th year. This is an annual event in November. Thanks again for sitting down and talking to me. I hope everyone got a new understanding of activism on a local scale and the hardcore scene. Thanks again for listening.
Holy shit, man. No, I'm not, because everyone keeps telling me to cut it, so I'm growing it. Feel like getting a haircut. Please, yeah, maybe I'll get a hit. This song goes out to Justin Bieber. Because he's fucking talented, man. This song's called Idiot Breed.
The opinions expressed in the following interview are solely the responsibility of the host and her guests and are not the opinions or views of River West Radio. RiverWestRadio.com claims no endorsement, albeit encourages the following opinions. And this is Caitlin Redding wrapping it up today, November 23rd, a very cold holiday Thanksgiving weekend. I'm happy to announce CC is in the house and will be following me directly. I appreciate again Dan Lozzi, Richard Brophy, and Zach C. You can reach Zach at Facebook, the New Society of Anarchists, spelled out, he says. Dan Lozzi is at theoutlookspeaks.org, and you can reach us at riverwestradio.com. Again, thanks for listening, and have a good holiday weekend. CC comes up next. Give us a moment, and he'll be right with you. Now I have to stop this. So we're off. Or at least we're not broadcasting live. We're not broadcasting.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to life. My name is CC, and me and Crick D are the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next 2 hours or so represent the views of life and the people making them. All opinions, quotations, in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, Crick D and CC, and guests and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issue arising from the content of this program. And I will reframe and mention to you once again, you can sue me. I ain't got no money, so it don't make no difference. Okay? So, if you don't like it, you want to bring up a lawyer, I guarantee you're going to spend more money with that lawyer than you're going to make off of me. So, any opinion that you don't like on this show, I'm sorry. And on that note, let me go ahead on and commence with this show. Tonight, we have an outstanding artist and a gentleman that's behind the scene. You know, one of the movers and shakers of this town that you never knew. And yet, you walk past him every day, probably in your life, and don't know what he does. But you know what? That's what's wrong with this society. We walk past, and we don't know. So, in all due respect, let me introduce you, or better yet, let him introduce himself, because no one can introduce him better than he can introduce himself. And
hey, CC.
How you doing?
Fine. This is Munir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Munir. And how fluent is that name? Maybe that's why he's an artist, a creator. He can take clay and just form some magnificent pieces. You know, there's a shop that he works out of. You know, God, what was the name of that shop? What is the name of your shop?
Well, it's just my working studio.
Your studio?
Yeah, I don't have a name for it.
Okay.
I had a studio back several years ago called Ogbe Meji.
Okay.
Ogbe Meji is a Yoruba word coming from the opus of the Odu, meaning bit by bit.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, now how pleasant is that, ladies and gentlemen? How pleasant is that? You know how I talk about enjoying microseconds before you get to the second, before you get to the second seconds, to make the minutes, to make the hours, makes the days. Oh, how would you say that again? Odu for moment?
Ogbe Meji is the name of the studio.
Okay. And from moment to moment it was Odu?
It comes out of the Yoruba word.
A Yoruba?
Yeah, Yoruba, out of Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the Odu from one of the many writings. And which one in particular, I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. But it's just one of the knowledge that drifted through the mind and passed through your heart.
That's what it was.
Yes, I have plenty of those.
Okay.
You know, and that means that you enjoy life to its fullest.
As best I can.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I've had him on this show, because the gentleman, from the first moment that I met him, it's interesting, very interesting. So, tell me, in your studio, give us a little background of what you do, and you know.
Well, I do handmade ceramic tiles, and I prefer doing large commissions. I've got a commission at the YMCA on Teutonia and North Avenue. I've got a commission at Frederick Hospital. I've got commissions in Chicago on the south side in the Hyde Park area. I'm collected in Japan, Ireland, California, New York, Chicago, in private collections. I'm a graduate from the School of the Art Institute in Chicago. and I'm here in Milwaukee now.
Well, you know, I'm glad you are, because I had the opportunity to meet you. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that you will make Milwaukee a better place than you found it.
I hope so. I hope so.
You know, well, your nature says so. You know, and the beauty of your artwork shows it.
You're most gracious, my brother.
You know.
Most gracious.
Well, no, I just tell the truth, because the next seconds I might not be here to tell the truth.
I heard that one.
So I will get it out there in the beginning. You know, and that's what my life is all about. Like, love ya, all of you, one and all. You know, you are my brothers and sisters. You know, I told you. Anyway, back to what we was talking about before. I just wanted to mention that to you. You know, just in case you felt like you didn't. I forgot about you. I ain't forgot about you. You know, I just, you know. But back to the conversation. Anyway. I've seen some of your work. I've seen some of your spiritual work, where you put the thoughts of someone within the wood, and then encase it, or entomb it, or secure it with porcelain. And explain that to me.
Well, sometimes I work with porcelain. Right now I work with a lot of stoneware, or what is called rakuware. It's a clay body that doesn't require a lot of high firing, or a lot of high temperature.
Okay.
Because I have an electric kiln, and that takes up energy. We Energy loves me, you know, because when I run that kiln, I'm making money for them.
Well, no. We Energy don't love you. They love your money. Okay, let's get this straight. You know, if you go to We Energy, you know, I guarantee you, the little E become a capital E, and they flip, and it says me.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
But a lot of my work, the inspiration for a lot of my work comes from African mythology. It comes from African American experiences. I work a lot sometimes in Adinkra symbols. Adinkra is a Ghanaian word which means, roughly translated, it means goodbye. It was first used in funerary cloth. The symbols were carved out of gourds and stamped on fabric. When one would pass away, they would take these symbols and print them on the fabric, because when these symbols are lined up in certain ways, they tell a story. So what one would be able to do by just passing the person who has made his transition, you'd be able to look at those symbols and get a sense of that person's achievements over his lifetime, his or her lifetime. So it was basically funerary cloth. And then during the Great Exodus, when we were brought in slavery, what actually happened was a lot of that stuff came with us in memory. And then in the 60s, when the great reawakening of African American consciousness, you know, hit the political scene, art was a big part of that, you know. And it was around that time that I actually started reproducing Adinkra symbols. First I was drawing them, then I was printing them. Now I'm carving them in clay and firing them and putting them into ceramic tiles.
Excellent. You know, explain the one where you do put the paper and the fiber in the wood.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's a new project we're working on. We're calling those peace posts. And what that does is, I'm now considering myself a community-based public artist. So I'm bringing in a lot of community people into my studio, and as a result of that, one of the first things we do is we have a writing session. And what I'm asking the participants in the workshops to do is to just sit a minute and visualize what they would want for their community. They could put it in the form of a prayer. They can put it in the form of a wish. But we want them to visualize that. Then we have them write it down on strips of paper that are usually no longer than an inch, no longer than a foot, but no wider than an inch. We then take those strips of paper, we roll them up very tightly, we dip them in wax, and we set them aside while the participants then start to work in clay. After they work in clay, they do activities that deal with texturizing the clay and painting the clay. Some of them actually put recognizable figures. A lot of the clay tiles are very abstract because a lot of people are not comfortable with art these days, you know, but they don't think they can. But my mission is to encourage them, yes, you can. So after the tiles are made, we then put them in cedar fence posts. But before we put them in cedar fence posts, I bore holes into the cedar posts, set the prayers or the visions that they have written into the post, and then we cover those prayers or visions with the tiles they've made. Lastly, what we do is we then take those posts and we put them out in the community. And we're looking at these as like spiritual sentinels, you know, guardians, looking and calling for a new day, calling for peace in our community. And the kids in the community really buy into this. They own it. They see their work out on the street in the public, and we just want to do this more. I was invited to Uganda back in March with this organization called Grandmothers Beyond Borders, and we did the same project there. Uganda was just an unbelievable, remarkable experience for me. First time I'd been to Africa in 300 years, you know. Some people got it, some people.
So, when you first set foot upon the land, what did you feel?
Overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed, you know, because it was like,
welcome home.
Welcome home. Yes. Bottom line, I can't put it no other way. Welcome home. And one of the remarkable things about Uganda was walking around in Entebbe and Kampala. I saw my grandfather like 50,000 times in faces of people who I never knew, but they looked just like my grandfather, you know. And I just knew there was a connection there, you know. Of some sort. Very spiritual. It's been since March, but I'm still processing a lot of stuff that actually went.
Well, you're going to process that for the rest of your life.
The rest of my life.
Yes, you are.
My life.
You know, and then because the experience is like a key, you know, like in breaking a code. You know, E is one of them triggers for breaking a code. Well, walking on the homeland, it's like that. And now things that has been in your past, that has been out there floating, with the knowledge and the feeling that you have just received when you walked upon that, you're digesting that, and now everything else is coming into proportion of saying, wow, yes.
Yeah, I don't know, it may eventually manifest in some art that I do, but there was enormous poverty. Same thing I experienced in Haiti, you know, just enormous poverty, you know, but the undying spirit of the people was just unforgettable. Unforgettable. I mean, even the poorest of the poor were
rich.
On the, yes, sir. Rich in a whole nother kind of way. Yeah. On the move, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what America has lost. That's what America has pushed aside. Those feelings. See, when we were down south, we still had a whole lot of respect. And if you go to Africa, you're going to find a whole lot of respect.
These were the warmest and the most gentlest people I had ever run into. Very much like the South. Very much like the South. Warm, soft-spoken, very polite. You know, yeah. I'm sure they got their foods there just like.
Oh well, yeah.
But
yeah,
I didn't. I was only there 10 days, so I didn't. I'm fortunate enough to have not run
any bad experiences.
Right.
Or run across any, you know. Well, you know, anywhere you go, and that is anywhere, and any stage of society, you're gonna have blind bed. Because you got to have it. Otherwise, you don't have a yin and a yang. You know, somebody's always want to rain on your parade. You know, and they can only do it if you let them.
If you let them.
Yeah, but yes. So now I know that. You representing, well, not representing, you intermingled into a video?
Yeah, actually right now I'm working with this company called 8 Eyes Production. That's 4 artists. 3 of them are videographers. One's a percussionist who's actually acting as the director of the film. And we're calling it The Urban Sanctuary. It's a project coming out of Washington Park Partners over in the Walnut Hill area. And what we're trying to do, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, we're over here in River West, and the culture over here is very diverse, very rich. But there's that same community over there. It just has not unified. And a lot of them don't know who they are. Part of this film is about making them aware of the different cultures that live amongst them, or live with them, live beside them, and trying to get them to see that this is a very rich cultural fabric in this community, and finding some way to capitalize on that. But that can't happen until they know who they are there with, if you get what I'm...
Oh yes, yeah. Well I can, you know, I can understand, you know, exactly what you're saying. Yeah, because I'm in the process of trying to put together a neighborhood watch, you know, which it's just a small iota of the whole tree that you're putting together, you know, but every branch counts.
Well, you know, everybody's got a little piece.
Right.
Everybody's got a little piece.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I can definitely understand it, and hopefully, you know, you take those little sections and also include who made those houses that made up that neighborhood, diversity of it. You know, because some of them were Jewish neighborhoods, some of them were German, and you could tell by the architect. Let them see what the architect of their neighborhood is all about, because then they can tell them what the architect of they are about. You know, and you know, they could, you know, the pride that went into building that house that you're living in, that hopefully you own and putting it back together, or you're renting it from somebody who's taking care of it.
There's a lot of wonderful housing stock over in that community, and that community, like many others here in the city, is fallen victim to its share of foreclosures. But the Washington Park Partners organization has pulled together several committees, one that deals with housing, one that deals with public safety, one that deals with health, and one that deals with art and culture. And I happen to sit on that committee as well.
Okay, well, you know, that's a good thing. You know, I would sit on that committee if I paid my taxes.
I don't know.
But I won't. So, it ain't that important.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know, hey, what? I talk straight across the board.
My man.
You know. Hey, I haven't paid before you foreclose on my place, though. I guarantee you that. Yep, all right. If you listen, don't worry. I ain't. Yeah, buddy. But anyway, I still love Washington Park. The more I love Washington Park, and the more I'm watching the police department paying more attention to the neighborhoods, the more I pay my taxes. Okay.
Well, there's that old saying: if you sweep your stoop, your neighbor will sweep his as well, and that's metaphorically true in every aspect. I mean, you start watching one aspect or one part of the block, others will start doing the same. Then we start talking about issues of health. We start talking about issues of culture. We start talking about issues of education and poverty. And eventually you have a block of people who are conscious and become aware of the importance of education. They become aware and conscious of the importance of the vote. It just mushrooms in a positive way.
Yeah. Well, when I moved into my neighborhood, it was nice people. Mm-hmm. Nice people, scared people. Mm. They all stay behind locked doors. Mm-hmm. So I got in the wintertime I'll get up, and I start shoveling, mm-hmm. And I like to think that I'm a young man sometime, either that or I just like to try to keep in shape because I'm semi-retired. Mm-hmm. And I shoveled all those sidewalk from one end of the block basically to the other. Mm. And a gentleman stepped out of the house while I was shoveling out the sidewalk, and he looked at me. He didn't know me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know him. Mm-hmm. He says, he said, hey, here, let me give you $20. I don't know what people have about giving people $20. Well, anyway, that's a different subject. And
you should have said, hey, keep the 20, grab a shovel and give me a hand.
Well, no. I told him, I said, you didn't ask me to shovel your walk. Mm. I did it because I wanted to. And I said the only reason I did it was to keep the property value of my house up.
My man.
Are y'all talking about Jesus?
Well, in a more metaphorical, universal way we are, yeah. I mean, he's in everything and everywhere. Yeah.
Jesus is good. And when is he good?
Well, he's always good, and I'm always with him because we are the temple of the Lord, the body, this is a gentleman that was on my show once before.
Okay.
Kid Genius, the beat junkie.
All right.
Yes, sir. And he met Jesus personally, and beat him in a game of.
I beat God in the game of King's Corner. Jesus' father.
Okay. So, but
Jesus like Jesus, or Jesus like
Jesus, the Holy Jesus Christ.
Walking down the street.
I met him at the hospital.
At the hospital?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, but that's
What day did you meet him there?
What day?
Yeah.
It's a couple months ago.
Yeah, but what day?
I don't know. The day that I met him is the day that I met him.
Cause maybe he could have been down on King Drive that day.
He's everywhere, so he's I met him today.
Oh, he's everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but so it was the gentleman come forth and had a great show. Mm. He had a great show. I'll talk with you on the flip side, my man.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
Yes, sir. And have a blessed one.
You too.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's what's so nice about life This life gives everybody the opportunity to express themselves in any way and form they possibly can, you know, and especially if they're loving, caring, and simple about what they do, you know. And as they said with the dinosaur and the little baby, you gotta love me. And I do.
Okay.
You know, I do. So, we're back to Washington Park.
Okay.
You know, so do we have a floor plan on people we think that would be seen in the resorts?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there's a bigger plan. The community comes together so that they can bring and attract dollars and businesses into the community. But that's a long range, long time kind of.
I don't think it's that long. I really don't think it's that long. I think within the next 5 within the next 5 years, we will see a lot more businesses coming down in that area. It's becoming more valuable. See, people don't realize that once something has been valuable once, it was recycled itself.
Okay.
Oh, you've heard about it?
That's the yin and yang. It'll go down, but it shall return.
Shall return.
You know, because once it was hot for a reason, and it would be hot again. You know, at that time it was hot because probably the brewery was going on, and everybody was building their houses, and there was a zoo. Washington Park was a zoo. So people came from miles around just to go to the zoo.
Well, what's needed, not only there, but in other communities right here in Milwaukee, are creative thinking people who are thinking outside of the box. So the traditional kinds of businesses that were there may not work anymore. But what do you have? What can you do? And everybody can do something. A lot of times they don't have the support, and that support can come spiritually or economically, and therefore sometimes they feel they can't make that move. But I just say courage up. Courage up. Visualize what you want and make it happen.
You know, and I guarantee you, if you want to make it happen, you know, the Lord would help you make it happen. But I guarantee you something else. He ain't gonna move until you do. You know, because he ain't gonna help nobody that ain't gonna help themselves. He already done told you that.
You take one step, I'll take 10 for you. Something like that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so all of you entrepreneurs out there, all of you want to be entrepreneurs out there, all of you who could see making money off of somebody else's back and want to invest in them, please do. You know, because that's what makes the world go round. Big corporations are nice, but you know what? It was a little guy that kept America rolling. It was Ma and Pa. You know, they're the ones that kept it rolling. You know, okay, some of the moms and Park became Wally World or Walmart. You know, I call it Wally World because it's a trip. You know, so it goes that way. But I noticed that one thing about Milwaukee is you can get drunk on one corner and stumble across the street and be saved. You know, every corner has a bar and a church. And to have so many churches and so many spiritual leaders We have no spirit. So, what are they leading? I can't say that they could be false prophets. It's not up our money to say. But if you're not guiding your people in the right direction that you should be guiding them in, not just in the directions of your Lord, but in the direction of harmony, respect, and caring, and not competing against each other. Oh, my church is better than yours. How about just saying we the people? And if all the churches was to get off the high and mighty platform, I'm not talking about the tears now, but, and say, let's unite, this would be a better place. And then you know what? You would actually be doing what the church is supposed to be doing. And then you know what? Jesus, you would make more money too. And that's the object of your game anyway, somewhat. You know, to get the statue, to be big, you know. But I'll tell you one thing, ain't enough room out there for two popes. And if you think there is, you're going to be poked. For the host. Ain't but one room out there for one pope. So, you churches just get together and hope. You know, that's all you gotta do. So, you know, now, remember, you can sue me all you want to, but you ain't gonna get nothing. All right? All right? So, now, back to the show, you know. So what do you think? If the churches got together, couldn't we make a major change?
It overnight. I think was missing a lot of church officials and church leaders have become very comfortable, and that comfort has just eroded their courage. And what you find is them not in the places they need to be. I'm sure there were churches behind people like Derek Williams and others.
Or the gentleman that died in the police car.
Yes,
okay.
But my question is, why weren't all of them there?
Well, I was there when they showed the movie for the first time. You know, I had to go. You know, and as I said on my show once before, the first time I ever seen a snuff film.
But then, you know, not to be slamming churches, because sometimes things like myself are done very effectively and efficiently behind the scenes.
Right.
My grandfather once told me that the most efficacious revolutionaries are invisible, you know, and so we don't know.
Well, yeah, because when I was there, they only had one church pastor showed up, you know. So it was that was interesting to me, you know. But I did see the sheriff and his posse, so that was interesting too.
Well, the question was he there in respect and remembrance of Mr. Williams, or was he there because he fears public unrest and was there to keep that in check? You know, they play a dual role, you know.
Well, yeah. No, I think it was more of that he was there in the prospect of maybe 3 or 4 phases. The one phase, the main phase, is for political purposes. To show my face. The second phase is against the Milwaukee Police Department, not mine. So I can support to tear them down. And then the third phase is that it would not happen on my watch as the county sheriff's deputies. But as far as Mr. William himself, I would say maybe got 10%. You know, it was just another brother that died, and it gives me opportunity to make some brownie points. You know, and because I studied the man while he was standing there and see how he reacted among the people. Did he speak to the family and such? You know, but you know, and his liaison was like his lawyer or somebody of that nature. So, but and there's nothing against all Milwaukee policemen, because it doesn't take but one or two to make things look bad. And at the same time, you know, if you neglect your watch and overestimate, you can make everybody else look bad. So, but I guarantee, you can talk about the police department all you want to, but if you call for help, you ain't calling for the hoods in the neighborhood to come out and do it for you.
Okay.
You know, it's going to be the Don John. You know, and at that point in time, he is your best buddy. Unless it's a domestic fight. On domestic fights, there is no rules or regulation of him being your best buddy. In domestic fights, you put your hands on the husband, there's a good possibility she might put a knife in your back. You know, because for some reason, during those situations, they do not think in a rational manner either way. So, you are walking into an irrational situation, so it's a never-winning situation. But it's not the normal way of most police departments, because the only time you see them is when there's something bad going on. You never see them when there's something good going on. So, but back to you.
Okay.
You know, so you got anything that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, you know, there are organizations over in the community that are working very hard. Express Yourself Milwaukee.
Who?
Express Yourself Milwaukee.
Oh, tell me a little bit about Express Yourself. Express Yourself on Express Yourself about Milwaukee expressing itself.
Yeah, this is a multi-arts organization that goes into the penal systems, and we go into schools where kids are at risk.
Penal system?
The penal system, as well as schools where kids are at risk.
Penal system? School?
Yeah.
Penal system. It's just...
Are you saying those? They're both the same?
Both of them are penal systems.
Well,
you know,
we're just trying to do what we can.
Well, yeah.
We do it with the arts. We have dancers, we have writers, we have visual artists, we have videographers, we have theater people, and every September when school starts, we go into those institutions with a theme, and we work that theme through writing, through painting, through movement or dance. And what manifests in May is a large body of work that we put on the stage at El Verno. Every May, we put on a very large show, a very wonderful production, and the community can come out and see what art does and how art heals. It's just a very, very strong organization, not getting the props it should, you know, but at the same time, it's one of those forces that are behind the scenes, you might say.
Right, right.
Just doing a wonderful job. And then also in the community, there's another organization called Our Next Generation, which is basically a CLC. I was at like a after-school learning center.
Okay.
Doing a very different kind of work because their work focuses more on tutorial kinds of activities, strengthening the academic prowess of the students, getting them to graduate, getting them into colleges.
One-on-one basis almost.
One-on-one basis. There are over 80 students who come through, and for every one of their students there is a mentor or a tutor that works with them every day of the week. They have a very high graduation rate of the students that hang with them. They do other kind of community support activities. Express Yourself as well as ONG are both working in the community, and I think they're making just a magnificent invisible difference, you know.
Right, right. You know, yeah, because this is the first time I've heard of them, you know, and I'm probably it's the first time a lot of my listeners have heard of them. So, if you want to call and make a statement or ask a question, please call 414-935-2951. 414-935-2951. And as usual, for all of my Illinois friends, it's 414-935-2951. Call me. Yes, yes, you know what that means. Yeah, just give us a call and voice your opinion. Let us know what you think, you know. And if you have any suggestions that could be used, please do. Or if you'd like to volunteer, you know, there's a lot of people who are waiting for volunteers, you know. So, please give us a call. Now, as for my commercial break, back to the show.
Yeah, I'd say come on down into the community. We're at 34th and Lisbon. There is this magnificent bakery called the Amaranth Bakery, and it's directly across from my studio. They serve fresh food, fresh bread, fresh salad, fresh soup every day. They are connected to a large community garden just to the east of their building. And just a lot of wonderful people come through. They kibitz, they talk spiritual concepts, they talk political concepts, they eat, the bread is great. We're just really trying to make community there. And it's a Ogbe Meiji process, a bit by bit process that it takes. Building something solid, it just doesn't happen overnight. You know, you need to put those sociological and spiritual taproots down first, so that when other kinds of economic and political winds come by, you have a solid base and are not blown over, you know. And I think that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, you know, and a lot of your the work that you do relies on a lot of trust and acquiring trust. And I've noticed that a lot of Milwaukeeans are hard to trust people, you know, but they're willing, they're looking, they haven't given up. It's just, I've been stepped on so many times.
Well, it's that willingness that I see, and that they're willing to try. And for me, that's part of this new consciousness that's really starting to awaken in the minds and the hearts of the community. Not just Washington Park, but River West, you know, other communities as well. A consciousness is actually starting to be seen and felt that just hasn't been there before, you know. We're now in the 21st century. The paradigm has shifted, and we're moving forward.
Well, of course. And do you think that the gentleman with the T's and 10 that just got back in office again has anything to do with this end?
Well, surely the fact that he has gone back in is inspirational for a lot of people. And then he sparks the fear of the trance of scarcity in others to give, which is what has to happen now on many levels, is something that has to happen on many levels, and that in itself will alleviate a lot of poverty, because poverty was one of the issues that was not discussed, but is very pervasive, not only here in Milwaukee, but throughout the country.
Well, okay, and I was also referring to the point that that his style of leadership, where he seems to represent the people more as we the people, and in the process of being, I think, a true president. We have had presidents. A true president have had a lot to do with how the people see their lives now.
Well, the operative word there is seems. He seems to be.
Right.
A lot, I mean, we went to the polls, we voted, and the question is now, do we sit down or do we continue that energy and that initiative and that inertia to keep moving forward, to find ourselves getting involved in even the simplest form of government, because he works for us. Every city official, every government official, every state official, they work for us, and somehow we keep forgetting that, you know. So if they're working for me, if they're working for you, my question then is, what do we want? And how do we articulate that to let them know, first of all, you're working for me, and this is what we want, you know?
Well, that's what I'm preferring to, is that he seemed to be the one that would accept us saying this is what we want, and we the people have to get together and figure out exactly what we want him to do.
Well, like I said, time will tell. Time will tell, and it's not just telling of him. Time will also tell of us as well, you know.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. You know, because like anything else, we have proved that we are the initiative. You know, for the first time in American history, we grabbed the reins. You know, every other country out there, because they know exactly how valuable it is to have the freedom that we have. Talk politics.
Yeah. Well, you know, we throw that word freedom around awful, quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, because if one is saying freedom and you cannot, in the back of your mind, hear yourself also saying responsibility, then it's just a word. Because we are not free if we are not responsible. You know, we have to step up as a people, as a community, as an individual, and once again, articulate to our government officials what we want. We do that simply by, once again, organizing in communities, talking with our neighbors, getting the sense of what is needed, and conveying what is needed to our officials.
Right, right. You know, and like you say, in the past, as my thinking is, so they have pitted us against each other, and they have sabered the hatred to use against us. They created that hatred. They created that finesse just so they could use it to separate us. And while they have us separated, they can dig into your pocket and get away with whatever they want to get away with and treat you any way they want to treat you, because you're too busy trying to destroy your next door neighbor and not knowing that they're destroying you.
Grabbing the barrel.
You know, and when I've said before, when we can't even pledge allegiance to our country in our schools, but yet we can pledge allegiance to some other country overseas and send our people to die, something wrong. Something wrong. You know, and you better look at it as being a plot, because it just didn't come that way. It was set up that way. Because the first thing you do is you strip the young, and they grow up to be what you created. And we have our young been stripped of their childhoods and been programmed to be destructive, so that the United States can be taken from within, because it can never be taken from the outside. So the only way you can do it, and as Japan said, is take them from within. Destroy our kids, you destroy the United States of America, because it's just the people that makes the United States of America for what it is, not the land, and not the surrounding, but the people. That's what make America. And if you destroy the people, you destroyed America, and somebody else will get it. They just change the name, and the same way it happened when we took it from the American Indian. Yeah, it wasn't called America then. It was called God's country. Oh well, that's a different subject on a different book. But yes, it's going to take us and organizations to start teaming up and keep the people enlightened.
Keep the people enlightened. You know, and it's more simple than we realize. Dr. Wayne Dwyer wrote a book that was entitled Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. You know, very interesting, very forward-thinking, very simple, you know, very simple kinds of steps that we can take to make that happen. Daniel Pink has written this book called A Whole New Mind. You know, it helps us think outside of the box and helps us move toward creative solutions to the problems we have right here in the community.
Oh, my ladies and gentlemen, Harry Porter just walked by. So if you caught him on the film, you could see him. He just walked by. Didn't come in the store, but he walked by and he waved at you. So, there we go. Harry Porter has made his Friday run. It's mysteriously who you run into in River West. So, back to the show. That was just a news flash. Yes, indeed. So, anyway, we was back to America so blessedly. Anyway, they fed me that stuff when I was in school, and I liked it. That's the reason I'm so patriotic today. They didn't feed it to my younger brother. That's why he's so militant today. Interesting. Well, that's the way. So, what do you guys say?
Well, I'm just enjoying watching you articulate your vision, your point of view.
Oh well, I thank you. Oh yeah, on the books, I haven't read those books, but I remember one that made a statement like the first book you was talking about. What's that first book?
Wayne Dwyer.
Yeah.
Change your life, change your thoughts, change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody else beat him before he wrote that book. I can't think of their name, but they said, "Free your mind and your asset will follow." It was written in the 60s,
I think that was the song, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Free your mind and your asset. You can forget the set on the asset, will follow. And it's very true, and I tell a lot of the young bloods about that, free your mind and your asset will follow. But while it's following, covered it up a little bit for me, will you please? Unless you're going out to be a plumber, now if you're going to be a plumber apprentice, yeah, you can wear your pants down below your ass, because that's part of the qualification to be a plumber and a plumber apprentice. But if you're not a plumber or a plumber apprentice, pull your pants up and stop walking around like a penguin. Unless you want to do that little dance, what was that penguin name? Anyway, he danced his way through history. But anyway, yeah, pull your pants up. Free your mind and your asset will follow. But yeah, that was very articulate at the time. It came in approximately with, for God's sake, we got to give more power to the people. So this is amazing how things rotate around. Right now, we the people want more power. We got power. We took it away, and we did what we had to do. We put the president in the office once again because all the Republicans said it wasn't going to end. And we put him there again, once again. And you know what? And then this gentleman writes this book that says, free your thoughts.
Change your thoughts.
Change your thoughts.
Change your life.
And change your life. Wow. Both of them running together. We the people. Change your thoughts, change your life. More power to the people. And free your mind, your ass will follow. How ironic is that? They both running parallel again. Does that say something to you? And one time, when they first gave it to you, they gave it to you in a short form. Short and sweet. I guess you didn't get it that time. Somebody had to come back around and write a book on it. So I suggest you go and read the book, because you couldn't catch the little couple of phrases that said, free your mind and your asset will follow, and that was the simplest thing in the world to do. But you can read this book, maybe you get some thoughts on how to do it. So please, pick up the book, and let your fingers do the walking. And if you like me, get your bifocals, because it makes the fingers a whole lot easier when you're running across the bottom of the page. You don't have to do it now because you can see, if you got the glasses on. So you don't have to run your finger down there. You can just read it now. So, anyway.
Well, also, Deepak Chopra has a book called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. For those who don't like to read, it's a very thin book, and it deals with things like our purpose. It deals with things like detachment. Detachment is the concept of visualizing what you want for yourself and then letting it go and allowing the universe to make it happen for you. It deals with karma, a very wonderful book. You can keep it in your pocket. You can refer to it, as I do many times during the week. Good reading, that moves us out of our mode or ruts of life. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind me.
No, go right. No, we doing this together.
I'm a big mouth, man. Sometimes I just get carried away. I'm sorry, but yeah, so you heard these names of these titles, and hey, remember they said that last book was paper thin, and I probably wrote in big letters, blocks. You might not even have to use your glasses to look at it, but sometimes some things come to you in some ways that are not the ways that you normally come to you, but they're the ways that they got to you. And since they got to you, you need to go head on and stop and look and listen and see what they're talking about. So it's pocket thin. It's like a 12-step, somewhere you can begin. Try it out. You'll like it. If not, take an Alka-Seltzer. I didn't mean for you to eat it, but you know, that's the way the commercial went. It wasn't me that wrote it. I just gave it to you, and that's the way it came out, you know. But either way, just go ahead on and digest this book, you know. And for those of you who cannot read, and hey,
get someone who can read it and sit and read it together.
There you go. And you can take the words out, then he can help you. And don't think that's embarrassing, because it's not embarrassing to face a part of you that you got to face, you know, because everybody didn't read in the beginning. You know, and everybody don't read the same way. Everybody don't learn the same way. See, that's the whole problem with today. Everybody want to do it one way. And it's not just one way. There's many ways, because you came in here with many different ways. Some of you came in here from the back seat of a car. Some of you came in here from the bed. Some of you came in here tipping out the back door. You know, it ain't all, you're all ain't equal. It ain't come all the same way. So, some of you might not read as good as others.
Well, you know, that's interesting, because when Muhammad was running between Medina and Mecca from the soldiers back in the day of his existence, the Spirit spoke to him and said, Muhammad, Iqra, Iqra, Iqra. And Iqra roughly interprets as Muhammad, read, read, read. Now, that meant read the spiritual world, read the physical world, and read the logical world. So as you were just saying, we read differently, and that's pretty much all I'm doing is reinforcing that concept. Yeah, we all read many different ways, and we think that reading the written word is actually the only way we get information, but it isn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Majority of information that we receive, we don't get it from the written world. You know, we don't. But, you know, they use it as an entrapment to make you feel like that you're illiterate or dumb. You know, but I'm going to tell you something. There is never a dumb person out there. There is not. He might not know what you know, but he knows something you don't. So, who's dumb? I think you would be the one that's considered intelligent, because you classified someone that you just misclassified, which means that your classification determined who you are. So, you was just looking in the mirror talking about yourself when you was talking about somebody else being dumb. Isn't that interesting? But, I ain't gonna say that you are, because I can't judge you. It is not my place.
You know, we as individuals within this community, we as a community within this city, we as a city within this state, we as a state within this country, we as a country within this world, we all have a piece of it. And it's sharing that knowledge and getting that information into some kind of recognizable and understandable form is what's actually going to help transform this planet that we're living on. You know, it takes time. Love is love. A very simple four-letter word is one of the major forces that will allow that to happen, and we don't do that much.
Hey, yes, God knew I love this man. Hey, come over here for a minute. Yes, indeed, I have an outside gentleman here. He's just passing through. He said he's going to be on my show one of these days, but he always shows up late, and then he just stopped by and just say, hey, Shanae. And my name ain't Shanae either. Don't start. But that's a different way. But he always come by. Now, this gentleman is also an artist. Except this gentleman, artists come out of his thoughts of music, you know, and some of his music, oh my God, you have heard, and he's behind the scene. You don't even know he wrote it, but you listen to it every week sometime. Well, if it's a rerun. But anyway, he is the only one.
Hello, CC. How you doing?
I'm doing fine in Midland. How about you?
Good. What's your name?
Munir.
Munir? I'm nice to meet you. I'm Didier.
Didier, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
And explain to my listening audience. I got some real heavy people that comes through River West Video and River West Radio
Did
station.
you have your Admiral on yet? What you
Oh,
gonna have
no,
the
the Admiral is pulling up the rear. He will be here, but he's not here yet. But he will come. It's that old saying. Build it, and he will come.
Right.
Well,
I hope he comes.
But he was a rear admiral, so
rear admiral.
Rear admiral, yes, yes. He was in the rear. So it just take him a little longer to get here. But yeah, see, you gotta be slick. You trying to be slick because you wasn't gonna tell me. Tell these people who do you write your songs for? Some of your songs.
Well, right now, me and my friend Joe are doing music for this show called Super Jail. It's on the Cartoon Network.
Okay.
It's like a Adult Swim show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adult show.
Adult Swim. That's like cartoons for adults that they play at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, see how interesting that is? That music that you hear in between and behind the adult scene, that's not Barry White, man. But he is white. But he is Barry White. So I guess that's close enough. Yes, indeed. Yes, all that music that you pick up, he's the one that helped write it. There's a lot of other writers, but he has thrown his head into the arena.
Yeah.
And Lord knows, we will have him on this show, and we're going to have fun. And I'm not
too
going.
bad because my friend Joe is in town too.
How long you guys been doing music?
Well, we've been working together for about 10 years now.
Who influenced you in terms of starting you out in music?
Well, wow. You mean just in general starting to play music?
Yeah, like musicians. What musicians influenced you?
Man, all different kinds, really. All different kinds, and the kind of stuff that we do is all different styles and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to say. I mean, I started playing music when I was like 6 years old or something like that. So, yeah, I always had.
How would you describe your style of music now?
Well, the stuff that we do for the show, like I say, it's all over the place. I mean, it's like whatever they need for the show, we do it. It can be rock music, or it could be classical music, or it could be, just kind of like movie music.
And what's the personnel, the instrumentation?
Well, that also varies a lot, but like I mainly play the guitar and bass and a little piano, and then my partner, he plays the drums, but then we also have sounds that we can use on the computer that'll be like kind of symphonic sounds or all different kinds of stuff, or sometimes we hire string players or horn players to come in, and so it just kind of depends what we need, and we make it happen.
Excellent. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the future reference, imagine being on the show with his partners and listening to adult music. And I'm going to tell you something. I have listened to the most adult music I ever listened to was Barry White. Hello, baby. Turn off the light. I get it right down low. Yes, indeed. That was my adult thing now. This stuff that they're talking about right now, I can't even watch the movie. It's just too adult for me.
It might not be adult in the way that you're thinking, though. It's more like it's just really violent and
yeah. When you start talking about seeing people going crush, and these spots jumping up and nah, man, that ain't my lifestyle. That's too adult for me.
It's really for like teenagers or college student kind of people,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm old. I'm old, man.
Yeah, so it's kind of not for adults in a way, but
yeah, because
so like X-rated Simpsons or South Park.
It's not X-rated, but it's just kind of like if you made a show that's kind of too out there for kids, You couldn't really show it to kids because it's like it's too violent, too twisted to,
Gotcha.
you know. But
Gotcha.
yeah, there's not really any sort of. It doesn't really get sexual or anything like that. It's more just violent and weirdness.
You know, well, you know, it's you know, if I want to be scared, I just go pick up the newspaper.
Right.
You know, I don't have to sit there and watch a movie. But you know, but the best part about it is, it pays. It pays. You know, that's the best part about it, and you get to watch it on TV.
Right.
That's a creativity. It's an art form, and he is one of the masters, because you watch some of his material, and it will be lasting forever. So, I will let you know ahead of time when he's going to be on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to do a
and then and when we will make it really, 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 really interesting. We will have them on the show, and then I will have my other artists here to come on the show at the same time. It'll be, when I think from listening to all this blood and stuff like that, he can take over the show for me, because I have a weak heart, you know. So, you know, I live in the Disney world. You know, MIC, I see you real soon. KEY, why? Because I love you. MOUSE, I ain't getting into none of them adult weird Mickey Mouse films, you know, but I will watch it and I will bring it to you so you can enjoy it.
Okay.
You know.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on the show. I probably should get going, but
okay, what date you can figure out? You get your partner together, because I'm leaving the dates open to you. Just give me enough time.
It's actually really too bad we didn't do it tonight, because he's in town right now, but because he lives out in LA, you know, so he doesn't come back here too often.
Oh, well, next Friday if he's still here.
He's leaving on Tuesday, though.
He's leaving on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh, too late. Tuesday. Not today.
I don't know when he'll be here next time. I think he probably will be here over the holidays, but I won't be here.
Okay. Well, you tell him that when he goes back to LA, you know, I'm gonna go to the Law Dog.
We could maybe can't we do a call-in kind of thing? Couldn't he call in from LA?
Can we call him from LA? Yeah, we can call him from LA.
Yeah, we could do that, right?
You put it on your brother's tab. It ain't coming out of my pocket.
Well, I could call him on my cell phone. It wouldn't cost anything.
Well, no, we
could Skype with him or something. There'd be a way to call him for free.
Right, we can get him on the computer. He can have a computer. We can run a computer line up, hook up, and run it on the radio show at the same time.
He's got hooked up right to in his studio. So
excellent. We could do that.
Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah. That would be great. You know, and
I think he would enjoy it too.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure he will.
Yeah.
You know, because he's gonna be on my show.
Right.
You know, hey, anybody come on my show is gonna enjoy my show.
Right.
You know, except me. You know.
You're the only one who doesn't enjoy it.
No, I don't enjoy my show. I just digest my show.
You're doing all the work.
No. You know, it's past enjoyment. You know, you can take enjoyment to that's one point, but then after you get to that point, it's not enjoyment no more. It's outstanding, and once you get past outstanding, what else? You have running out of words. If there's another word out there that you can give me that I can make better than outstanding, please stand up and give me a call at 935-2951. Call me. That's 414. Oh yeah. Never mind you in Chicago. I'm pretty sure a lot of you in Chicago ain't gonna be able to tell me that other word outside of that. From Milwaukee, I know there's somebody in Milwaukee that can tell me. Anyway, back to the station. Yes.
All right. Well, it was nice to see you guys.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
You as well.
Yeah, have a good night.
Likewise.
Hey, talk to him.
I'll see you soon, CC.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And thank you again for stopping in and sharing your time with us.
Sure.
Because I know you're a very, very busy man.
Not that busy.
Huh?
Not that busy. A little busy.
Hey man, don't bring my hype.
Okay.
You know, I just hype you, bro. You know, see, if you had been a brother, man, you would have said, yo, all right now, yeah, I'm busy. You know, you gotta make so when they call you up and want you to do some more work, you can charge them more money because you're busier.
Right. Yeah. That's.
Jeez, man, don't say. Well, I'm not that busy. Well, we can get them damn cheap then. Oh, excuse my language. Oh yeah, no, you busy, bro.
Okay.
Okay, don't blow it like that. And you make me see that. everybody was saying, yeah, this man is very important. No, I'm not that important. I'm not that busy. Nobody really want me on the show except CC. You know, well, I don't want to act on that. You know, but anyway, it'll be a great show. Don't miss it, because I tell you what, if you do, well, you can always go to the reruns, but it ain't as much fun as the first time around. So, we will have you on our show as soon as you let us know.
Okay.
And we can open the door.
Right.
And if we have to, we could get Milwaukee to L.A.
Right. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, hook up.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
We'll probably call it.
Thank you.
Nice to see you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was another intro to another door. You know, how many doors can you go through life before life opens up a new one? It's always opening up new windows. And for all of you that's behind the scene, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know, if you can't get out the door, go out the window. It works. Just make sure you don't throw in the bushes and anything down there. That's, you know, you get them thorns, man. Them thorns really hurt, and it's hot. Oh, no, man, that's a different story. Back to you. Yeah, no, I know you're up here. You know, yeah, you're dealing with a nut. You know, but hey, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. You know, but I just feel all the time. I just enjoy life to the fullest, you know. So, is there any other programs out there that you think that there's probably a lot of them that even you cannot mention all of them, that you want to do a shout out to?
Well, Sweetwater Organics, you know, that Jim Gotzel, Growing Power, Will Allen, the community, UW County Extension, Dennis Lukashevsky. These are people who are really Alice's Garden, Venus Williams.
Okay.
Walnut Way, that's Larry and Sharon Adams. You know, these are people who are not talking about it, but are being about it with respect to growing food, you know, and showing the community another way of nourishing yourselves and staying healthy.
Well, you know, because I mentioned that on my show before. You know, the government will pay you a subsidy if you grow food, grow your own food. You know, and they'll pay you a subsidy. And see, from my standpoint, that's a way of saying, grow your own food, because the food that they're getting out there, they're giving you, is killing you. You know, and the president can't say that this food that they've been processing and they're giving to you is killing you, but he says, if you grow your own food, I'll subsidize you.
Equally as important as growing your own food is making your own soil. And Growing Power has a wonderful program that shows people how to make that happen. Check them out. Growing Power.
Growing Power. You heard it here on Life. Mm-hmm. You know, so we'll probably end up having some of these people come on this show, because I do want to enlighten you on what your surrounding is and what you can see. You know, because maybe there's one of you out there that would like to volunteer and don't know what to do. Maybe there's someone out there that wants the information, and maybe kick off another one in another neighborhood. You know, this is what life is all about. You get by with a little help from your friends. You know, and trust me, if you talk to your neighbor next door, that's the best friend outside the friends that you already have in your family to have. You know, so, and he might be the one that could teach you how to do something else that would make your life a whole lot easier. You know, so we'll do these programs, and I'm glad he's on this show, because you had the opportunity to listen to things that I, up until this point, could not have brought you. Because up to this point, I didn't know it exists. And so I had the opportunity of bringing it to you, and I had the opportunity of enjoying it myself at the same time. You know, and hold on a second. Yes, me, myself, and you got to get the point this time. You got to go ahead on and be your number one person on this here list. So don't talk about me and myself as being overwhelming on you, okay? You got to say I quite a few times. You got to talk about it. Okay, now, we don't have to go through this conversation again. All right, later. Oh, me, myself, and I have been having this argument.
How long now?
Well, it was when I decided I was going to interview me, myself, and I, and find out what was going on. And I got an attitude because he said he was by himself, you know, and me, and there was two of them, and myself, oh, come on, you know. He said he was all by himself, and we was just teaming up on him. Mm. And I told him we wasn't teaming up on him, you know, not myself, mm-hmm. you know, me might have teamed up on got on his case a little bit, you know, but myself didn't, mm-hmm. you know, but so don't put me in the boat with him, mm-hmm. you know, but I just couldn't take it, mm-hmm. you know, and
you need some help with that, brother?
Oh, well, actually, I can go talk to the same guy that was here a little bit ago to talk to Jesus. I can go to that place where myself and me going to. Oh, never mind. Anyway.
I got another book for you then.
Okay.
Okay, that's Eckhart Tolle. That's his name, Eckhart Tolle, and he talks about the new earth. Okay. You know, and he talks about the ego, the I, and the me. He might be able to help your three friends.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm open to take any help from anybody, you know, because I myself and me didn't get this way alone, you know. So, well, I might as well have an ombudsman to work it out between the three of us, you know, and bring some harmony and wholeness back into this family, you know. I'm gonna tell you, man, I can put up with a lot of people, but man, when it comes to family, me, myself, and I, well, it's a hard time to deal with them chokers, man, because I don't care. They can tell you one thing. You know when they're lying. You know when they're lying. And they just stand up there and lie to you. And you know they're lying.
Because they are you.
Well, yeah. How else can you know for sure that they're lying? You know, that's the only person you can know for sure is lying is you, yourself, and I. You know, he does sometimes, but he ain't in the picture right now. You know, it's just me, myself, and I. You know. Okay. All right, I quit talking about it. You know, cause my host is going to have a heart attack over here, and if he has a heart attack, me, myself, I ain't going to give him my resuscitation. That's going to be for sure. I'm going to have to go come with these ladies off the street or something to give them my resuscitation, so I ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do it either. Me? No. Myself, you can count him out. So, we got to stop now because I don't want this man to pass out on me. So, welcome back to my neighborhood. Well, I did mention to you that when you came on my show, it was going to be interesting.
You did indeed.
You know, and it was going to be now for something totally different.
Total fun, baby.
You know, well, I thank you for putting up with me and my lunacy, you know. You know, so I have had one of the greatest times that I've had on my show tonight. I have a gentleman that can go off on these tangents like I do, and I can understand every word he's saying. You know, sometimes you can go on a tangent, you don't know what he's saying because you don't understand the tangent because you can't see where they're coming from or which direction they started from. Because if you can't see where they started from, you don't know which direction they're going, so you can never tell which direction it is. So, he talks that way, and I like it. You know, that's outstanding. You know, I thank you because it really does my heart good. You know, it lets me know right off the bat that I'm not the only nut out here. You know, but to live in this world, you got to be crazy. And if anybody tell you they're not crazy, get away from them. Get away from them. There's something wrong with them, you know, because everybody has a little insanity in them. Because if you don't, you couldn't you couldn't live in this world. It'd be totally impossible because you'd be completely off balance. So, well, I hope that you had a good time tonight. We still got some time left on the clock, and we still got some opportunity to freak out your mind and take you into other directions. So, what do you foresee for Washington Park area?
Growth.
Okay.
You walk through the area, you see a lot of vacant lots. But I challenge people not to look at that as devastation, but as potential and possibility.
Relocation.
Yeah, relocation. Yeah. We want people who have vision. Love to have a larger community of artists.
Become an old town?
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? I mean, like right now we have Kofi has their main office down there. Shout out to Fern. Not too far from that area, we have the Wisconsin Black Historical Society. Shout out to Claiborne. And even not too far from there, we have Hansberry Sands. So shout out to Willie and Diane, you know.
Okay.
Wait
a minute now. Now, from my standpoint, I want to give a shout out to 1290 on Capitol. Okay? Because that's the business I'm in.
Okay.
You know, I at least got to give a shout out to the big guy.
Holla, my brother.
You ain't giving me no job. But that's okay. You guys don't want me. Hello, Mr. Tavis. Nice talking to you. I listen to you all the time. 9 or 10 chances you're not going to listen to my show because you don't even know I exist. But that's okay. Love you anyway.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about growing power. We were talking about Sweetwater Organics. We were talking about County Extension. They are providing community with physical nourishment. These last 3 organizations, Kofi, Hansberry Sands, Wisconsin Black Historical Society, they're providing another kind of nourishment, a cultural, spiritual kind of nourishment. And anytime we can, we should support them. Arts are usually one of the first, whether it's in school, whether it's in public, to take the hit when the economy takes a dump. So to give them not only our moral and spiritual support, our economic support as well is just very important. Very important.
Well, you know, I see a lot of changes in the neighborhood. New growth. So that's a good thing. You know, we did have one a restaurant, well, bar night or club that we had a conflict with was a Chocolate Rose. They wanted to extend their hours, but they disrespected people in the neighborhood. Well, they didn't. They're patrons. They're patrons.
You know, it'd be interesting and really beneficial if people who own these kinds of establishments lived right next to their institution or their business, I guarantee you a lot of conflict, a lot of public disorder would disappear.
Right.
Because they're invested in that community.
Right. Right. Not just for fly by night to make money and get out the block, but to live on that block and deal with the situation that you create.
And businesses with a new mindset should be coming in not to make money, well, not only to make money, but to make family, to make community.
Right.
You know.
And to improve.
And to improve.
Enlighten.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm looking for, and I'm hoping for the area, because you know the people don't realize what they have in that area. Them old Victorian houses are so fantastic, and the market value gonna go back up on them. You know, they're somewhat dirt cheap now. But I guarantee you 5 years from now, they're not going to be dirt cheap.
Yeah, I say if you own in that area, find it as creative a way you possibly can to hold on to it.
Right.
To hold on to it.
Right.
And don't move out. I mean, that was one of the problems of a lot of African Americans in the past. Understandably so. I mean, raised in poverty and in communities where people didn't care, they wanted to get out, which is understandable. But now, these communities are regentrifying, and they need to regentrify with us.
Well, you know, it's gonna be redone, whether it's with us or not. It's gonna happen.
But my concern, my prayer, and my vision is that it is done with us.
Well, that's what you would hope to achieve.
But we have,
you know, but
it's like kind of like a bootleg copy.
It has to be motivated.
Yeah, that comes through education.
Right.
Yeah, that comes through education. Right. Yeah.
Because that's the only way. And you know, I see people, you know, want to sell off their houses because they think they're running, but actuality, you just threw away your livelihood.
Yeah. Another challenge down there in the community is absentee landlords. You know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. You know, I think that is just about as big a blight on the neighborhood as gangs.
Yeah, yes, another kind of pimping.
Right, right, and the worst part about it is that they could care less.
Yeah, they care about that money they get on that rent.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the majority of them will rent to a government assist program where their money comes right directly to their mailbox. You know, so they don't have to visit their house. They don't have to work on their house because, booyah, first of the month the money's there. You know, then people might be calling them and saying, hey, the faucet ain't working, hey, the heat ain't on, you know, and he's saying, I'll call you back when I get the message. And that's months later. You know, as long as they're collecting that check. But and they are also one of the ones that help project the blight of the neighborhood, because they are willing for the almighty dollar put anybody and everybody in their place.
Let's be clear now. All absentee landlords are not rip-offs or pimps, like however one wants to put that. But there is a large number that have just made that very hard for the people living in substandard housing.
Right. Well, you know, it's understandable, you know, that not all of them are. You know, it's like everything else. It only take a few to make the rest of them look bad.
Just a few.
You know, and then it don't take but one in the neighborhood to bring the neighborhood down.
That's all.
The rest of them could be doing the best they can, you know. But they don't care. Like I said, they just want the money. And they made the money off their house. The house done paid for itself by now, majority of them. And they're just raking in profit. And if it falls down, they could care less. You know, because they're way ahead of schedule. You know, and, you know, if you take me to court, what are you going to do, condemn me? You out on the street.
And then we got another board up in the community.
And we have another board up. Right. Because I made my money off of it. I tell you what, I'll sell it to you for an outrageous price. Yeah. You know? Well, if you don't want to buy it, they'll sit there. Instead of dumping it to give it to somebody that could really do something with it and revitalize it, they'd rather sit on it and scam it. You know, I remember in the day, I worked for slumlords, and I watched them. They would turn the water off. They would not pick up the trash. You know, turn the electric off. But what they were doing that for is the trash would build up. The people would be frustrated. The house looked like a dump. And then everybody in the neighborhood wants to sell, and they start buying it up. And then they move the family out.
It looks like you want to go to one at a time.
And resell the property. But the bad name has been labeled on every black. That's where they are. You know, but in a lot of cases, we're scamming. You know, it's using people. You know, and you know, my deal is if your house keeps getting called in on drug runs, I think the city should take it, put it back on the market. You know, sell it to somebody for a reasonable price and help them maintain it and keep it going. You know, and I know towns in Illinois was taking duplexes, and if you turn them back, they were paying people to turn them back into one. Because the drug dealers were dealing out of them. It was hard for them to catch the drug dealers because it was 2 floors. You know, so it was a deterrent for gangs and drug dealers. If they turned them houses back into one-family houses, then if they're drug dealing out of their houses, that they could right then and there. But you know, that's the problem is that the people are not scanning the people, and we're getting a bad influence, and they don't own the building; they could care less. You know, and they know if it goes down, they just move someplace else. You know, and 9 out of 10 chances. If they're not being subsidized and they're paying cash themselves, in the middle of the night somewhere along the line, they're going to pick up and disappear. But next thing you turn around, you're going to have somebody else in the neighborhood the same way. Because most landlords, whichever direction they're going, they normally go that direction.
Well, with strong community organizations, we can prevent a lot of that. You know, if we know that house is that way, the housing committee within the larger community can bring the police to bear, can bring the law to bear, can bring the citizens to bear simply by making them more aware and showing those who don't care that there is a united front and a caring community here. You know.
Back to we the people.
Back to we the people.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're the ones that can actually make the change, because we were the ones that actually let the change take effect. You know.
Out to lunch.
Yes. Yes. So now we just got to clean up a mess that we neglected and get it back together again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here come Harry Porter. Harry Porter's coming through here. Hey, Harry, how you doing? My man, you know. So I always gotta give my shout out to Harry Porter, you know. And that reminds me too, of course, starting the last 2 weeks of next month, we're gonna have Santa Claus at River West Radio. Yes, indeed. You know, come and get your ho on. You know, wait a minute. You can put the feather back up. You can put the hat back up. We ain't talking about those ho-ho-hos. You know, it's totally different. This is Christmas, my man. Okay?
No.
No. But anyway, we're going to have Santa Claus for River West Radio. So please, if you got a toddler, a young one, bring them on down to meet Santa. You know, and get a picture taken with Santa. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, if you want to get a picture taken with Santa, River West Radio is so pro, you better bring your own camera. Okay? That's where you get your picture. You know? Hey. And so if it don't come out right, you ain't got nobody to complain about but you. You know? Next time, focus your picture. You know? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to. But anyway, we're going to have Santa Claus here, and he's going to be in his cheerful ho attitude. So, please, bring all your family down and get a picture with Santa Claus. You know, the only one that don't want to come down is you hoe dads. You know, all you hoe dads can stay away. I don't want no hoe dads down here. You know, so they don't want their fathers. Okay? Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Back to come down and see Santa Claus at River West Radio. You know, yeah, and there'll be future details along the way. So prepare for that day. How? Love ya. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, as William Shakespeare once said, all good things must come to an end. As Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I will be back. So, it's a duo, yin and yang. Right now, we must go with Einstein. All good things must come to an end. But at the same time, same date on Friday next week, I will return. And I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, God, I'm not that dumb. Jeez Louise, he made to be the president. I like that man too. But anyway, it has come down to the point where Onion Breath will be the next show that comes on. If you haven't caught Onion Breath, you know, please check out the Baderias. They're sweet and tasty. And they have a really good show. So, you know, in my days I went down south, and, you know, I remember, you know, being down there, and I thought that was very famous. They used to walk down the street and say, name me after Rob Rogers' horses. You know, as I was walking down the street back in the 50s, hey, Trigger, how you doing? You know, so, remember those days? So, you know, I thought it was famous though, you know. And then when I found out it wasn't Trigger, never mind, it was a whole totally different blow. Man, it really blew my life. You know, here I thought I was being famous, man. Jeez Louise, you know. But on that note, the only thing I can say to you is happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trail to you. I hope you enjoy the end. Happy trails to you until 6 to 8 Friday night. All right. Bye. Yo. See ya. Later.